All right. We're being recorded, so now this, I'm gonna look at my clock. 9:01, that's a little bit, giving you a little grace, that clock on the wall. But I'm gonna go with my actual clock. So welcome. So nice to see you. I'm Peggy. All of you know me, I think. I'm a PC coach. I've just launched Success Coaching, which is for agents who have completed PC, but still want to continue having accountability and having someone to help them out. I can do that for you. So James, we can talk about if you want to do that with me, that would be great. And I also am an active agent. Been pretty fortunate that my business has grown, and I give it a lot of credit to Ignite. This Ignite program saved me when it came to learning this game really late in my life and thinking, how the heck am I going to do this when I don't know what I'm doing? But Ignite was really a great opportunity. So I urge you to take it multiple times. You will get different nuggets every time you take it. And the more you know kind of what you're doing, the more it will make more sense to you, and it will all kind of come together. Anyway, so I always like to do a check-in. So how are we doing business-wise? I know you're in the middle of a deal.
I have a listing that's in coming soon status,
Okay,
and I do have a buyer that runs me all over town.
okay. All right, we'll get there.
Well, no, he's a my investor that I work with. These guys heard me talk about him.
Yeah.
He's looking for the deal.
Okay,
He's looking for the unicorn in his book.
Um,
He's after passive income, not flipping, so.
there's a listing that's coming up with one of our agents.
Mhm.
That might be a good deal.
Yeah.
If they're interested. They're selling it below market, and it's in Powhatan. But it might be a good one for the investor, but I say, I don't think they're going so much lower than what they're offering.
Right,
I'm
right.
happy to share that with
So,
you.
are you, I know Patrice does contract side, right?
Right, I do look at contracts too, if
Yeah.
he's busy, but I'm mostly a launch coach for PC agents.
Okay,
Um,
well, then I need to know.
yeah, if you're in production and you're still PC, you run contracts by her, but you can also add me to it, so if she's really busy, I can look at it. If it's something that's beyond my abilities to answer, I send it to her.
Okay.
We work together, yeah. We don't play good cop, bad cop. We work together. No, we've had people try to-
Different things, I wasn't sure.
Well, I'm good to see you.
Yes, you too.
Yeah, we're just kind of getting rolling here. I'm just finding out what everybody's doing. And you all know each other, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Arnita, you got anything going on right now that you want to share? Any new clients or potential?
No, I had one, but the husband didn't, come for him. He wanted to go with the person who sold the house, the agent who sold the house, he wanted to go with them.
That's
Because of the divorce, but
Yeah,
it's all right.
it's okay. You
Yeah.
never know. You might get something out of that later, if they're divorced,
Yeah,
maybe from the wife.
for wife, yeah.
Yeah, so I know that happens sometimes, and you kind of get caught in the middle of that, and you're like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna go there.
Yeah, just gonna give it a hard time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't need that, but others will show up.
Mhm.
Don't put your energy on something that's not worth putting your energy into,
Yeah.
right? So how about you, James? Any
So
updates?
since I've been in Ignite, I've been trying to shape bushes a little bit.
Okay,
And I'm having a lot of occurrence of those who seemingly committed to since the conversation. And then when they get to the application process for the lender. It's
get back off.
and don't say anything. As a matter of fact, when I was driving in, I said I was gonna call one in particular. And I stopped at the gas station. Guess who comes in?
Oh, wow.
The young lady that I was gonna call.
Oh,
Of
wow,
course, we were both heading. I said, I'm willing to be late for my class today.
that's
To figure
okay.
out what happened, but she was like, my corporate's at all, blah, 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 whatever, so I didn't get a chance to talk with her, and I just left it at that. And so in some of my conversations, as I look back, I said to myself, I'm not gonna call her that. I'm gonna leave it.
Mhm.
One of the other clients is actually a branch director at a Freddie. Which is odd, and oddly enough, she did the same thing. Had correspondence, and then just into the intro, blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting in a shop near me called Simona's. Guess who walks in? Her.
No way.
Kid you not.
It's a sign.
So, and I had sat to the back, because I'll find a place to post up for the day. And I had sit like back over in the corner, and she came with away from her order. So we ended up having lunch.
Oh,
Yeah. And after that, I said, okay, she'll probably go ahead and do this. Still hasn't. So I have to kind of temper that. And then one couple who I invited to new construction. And they were actualized. She said, James, thank you for all the information. Husband's trying to get this restaurant going. Once we're more serious, then we'll do that. But I have noticed, because I'll just be random. I'll talk to people, hand out cards, whatever. And just, that's my form of doing it.
mhm.
Just banging the phones, that doesn't work for me.
It's all about making those
Yeah, so how do you
relationships
do
and
that?
connections, however you do that.
But I'm
That's-
stumped on the fact that they are encouraged, they talk about it, and then just seem to back off. And I go out of my way to demystify the lending process.
Right, but I'm wondering, ask them this question, say,
Yes.
I noticed that you haven't taken any steps toward getting pre-approved.
Sure.
Say, are there other lenders you'd be interested in, or is there someone you're already working with that we could reach out to? Cause, I mean, it could be they don't want to go to the person that may have been recommended. Maybe look at options of, like, ask them what's keeping them from going.
So the one
And-
that I ended up having lunch with, she
Mhm.
did talk about personal stuff going in, daughter moving back in, blah, blah, blah. In that situation, she probably doesn't even really need me. But there's an opportunity there,
Yeah.
there's any guidance. So I'm gonna talk out for that.
Mhm.
There could be other stuff, but she probably just listened to things she was most comfortable with sharing.
Right,
And so I'll just give it, I let it breathe. And then I'll reach back out and see, 'cause I don't want to. So,
yeah.
but after this time, I'll just keep moving on. I'll just let it be.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna find that, especially early on, for some reason, you're gonna hit a lot of misses. You're gonna go for a lot of misses, and
Too.
it starts to, it will start to hit, and it's funny, once you get one client and you get them through the process, it just starts kind of falling into place a little easier. It's just that period of time you're in right now where you know, you're planting all the seeds, you're doing the work, but sometimes it just takes a minute.
Yeah.
And then it also kind of learning as you go, your different conversations to have, like
Yes,
how to change that conversation a little bit to understand what it is keeping them from applying, because I have the same situation. I mean, we all do.
sure.
And I think I'm learning the hiccups that they are having. One is people are so afraid their credit's gonna be affected if the lender pulls their credit to look at it.
Sure.
And talk to your lender about what that looks like. Because they'll do a soft pull and it won't affect their credit at all.
Sure.
But finding that out from the lender is gonna be helpful. And then also, I think people just don't know. I think they're embarrassed if they have a little problem in their financial world
Mhm.
to even go to a mortgage lender. Also let people know, because my lender will tell me, you know, they're not obligated to use me, even if I pull their information. They don't sign contracts with lenders. And I think some people don't know that, so
This
just
is-
kind of,
yeah, that's part of the mystery with me, because I like to think that I'm pretty good at discerning some of those things.
yeah,
Everything that you just mentioned, like one of the conversations, talked about all the financial hit. She
Yeah.
shared it openly. And I think to address them and say, hey, this is how we can do that roadmap, blah, blah, blah.
right.
This is why it's kind of.
Also-
It's unusual.
Also, the lender can help that person with their credit issues to give them a good timeline.
That's exactly right.
That's really their job and not our job, so.
Correct.
So I would just say, you know, if you. I mean, there's only so much you could say.
That's exactly.
I think there's just so much. If you could educate them on how home ownership is so helpful to your financial picture. down the line.
Sure.
And comparing that to what they're paying by not being a homeowner and what that looks like. A lot of people just have these false ideas about how much money they have to put down. You know, what the lender's gonna do, they're gonna get roped into something they don't want, you know, all that stuff.
And
So-
they're not aware either that there are programs to help them along the way.
Right. Yeah, and, you know, people's pride and ego, and they get embarrassed. There's so much of that happens. So you're right, James, by backing off a little bit, I would nurture the relationship, keep nurturing the relationship to build more trust. The more trust you build, the more you're gonna be able to break those walls with your clients that they're, you know, looking at as, oh gosh, I mean, I'm one of those people where I owned homes 15 years ago, a couple homes, and then we had a really bad situation, 09 and 10, during that terrible time. And I had a business and everything kind of went blank. And I just said, not doing that again, never doing that again. And then I just bought a house this year because I had to finally be coached by my lender. And Patrice also, like, you really can't do this. And I'm like, I'm really scared to do this. Like, I'm comfortable renting. I'm comfortable where I am, but I know I would like to. Now I'm glad I did. I mean, I'm so happy that I did. But I had those same hangups, and I remember thinking, this is what clients go through. They have this, there's a lot of history you don't know, so you're having to dig through that history. So I think a lot of nurturing that relationship, just being one of those folks says, you know, I know you're not ready to buy a house and I totally understand, but I'd love to sit down and have some coffee with you and just talk to you a little bit, of, you know, just get to know you.
By suggesting that.
Yeah. How about you, Mel? I know you've been open house extravaganza for October.
So for me, I've actually found more success in the nurturing, speaking of nurturing, that I've been doing like on social media and introducing myself as a realtor. And just this weekend, I've had some out of the blue wins where people are actually like tagging me, recommending me when they see posts of like, oh, I need a realtor, I'm relocating. Had people that I just kind of like slide into their DMs and like they're reposting my stuff now.
Good.
So just, I focused heavily on social media when I first started because I didn't have my license when I first started. And so I wanted to focus on what I could do legally. And I think that 90-day seed is starting to flower a little.
It will. I mean, you are really putting in work on a very focused area. I mean, your social media is killer. Like you're doing some, you've got good content. You're creating a brand, you're kind of creating your whole image on social media. And that's one aspect, which she's good at. If that's not your thing, find a way to do that outside of social media. You know, building your brand of making an actual flyer or something that you can hand people. You know, I think just getting that presence out there in front of people that's consistent.
Yeah.
And then these open houses, it can feel like, I mean, you really set yourself up for a pretty high burnout. So, I mean, honestly, like doing a lot of open houses in a short amount of time is one of those things where it's a great idea. It's a great idea and you've done it and it's a great challenge that you've met, but give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
And give yourself some space after October 30th, 31st. Set back, don't do an open house for a week.
Yeah.
Seriously, give your husband a weekend.
Yes.
Don't do it.
I told James I'm actually writing a book too about my first year. And I just wrote a chapter about like
Oh, you got
having
that in your-
imposter syndrome of, because like on Pivot Shift to Call, they're talking about burnout. And I'm like, I'm a new agent. There's no way I should be able to have like feel burnout. I'm like, I did. I really felt it and I didn't give myself that grace. So I actually posted about that last night. So like, I might not hit my 25. I'm gonna be really close to it. But I met a lot of people. I've learned a lot of things that people ask about houses. So now I'm more confident in showing, like the knowledge gained surpasses 25. 25 is just a number.
Yeah,
So I am.
just
I'm
remember,
tired.
you're not in a sprint. You're in
Yeah.
a marathon.
Yeah.
And you gotta pace yourself,
Yeah.
because we all are excited and we wanna just like jump out of the gate.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna do this year, and then it's definitely possible to have a really successful career early on,
Yeah,
but be realistic with what's gonna keep you moving forward.
Yep.
So,
I'm gonna say
That's-
congratulations to you for your new home and
thank you.
for your seeds that are being planted. The fruits are being.
And she got married in the midst of this crazy thing.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. Those-
Yeah.
those-
That's enough to
And
knock
did it
you.
all you did the way.
Oh, wow.
All in
Also-
October.
I'm now a POA of my 95-year-old grandchild, my grandmother.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's a lot.
congratulations to both of you guys. It's good to hear.
Definitely.
Yeah, success.
Well-
I'm rocking it.
Yeah,
Man.
but-
Being an overachiever can be a double-edged sword. It can be one of those things where it's like gonna really serve you, but it can also, you have to pay close attention. And I understand that all too well.
But blessed.
So today, let's see, oh yay, it works. Today's Plan Your Future. So we're gonna talk about kind of circling back to the beginning of Ignite, where we talked a lot about mindset. And kind of revisit mindset, and also just kind of asking yourself some of the same questions you were asking yourself early on, to see how our thinking has changed. This is all the stuff that we have to talk about. TCPA, we all know when we call people, we want to make sure they're compliant. Not on the Duke of the call list. I love all this information. We don't ever read through it, but just know the rules of negotiating commissions. We don't talk about it online. We don't talk about it on MLS. We have conversations, but we actually put it in the contract. That's all I can tell you. Don't worry about it. And it has been really a better situation, in my opinion, to just write it in the contract. And then you can have that discussion while you're discussing the contract. It gives you a little more room to negotiate numbers and have these conversations with your buyer at that time, instead of being so hung up on it ahead of time. And then fair housing laws, we all know to follow those. We get those classes over and over again to remind us, which I do find as an agent, I'm faced with those fair housing questions a lot in my day-to-day, activity, making sure I don't misrepresent anything, or I suggest something or steer someone, or, all this stuff. AI disclaimer, that's a new one. Making sure it's accurate. I think you have to actually disclose that it's AI material that you're using. Well, not like rewriting, but
Oh, yeah.
if you do something AI on an image. Anyway, so now here we are, transact business. That's where we are. We're in this section of the end of that. So you've talked about when the buyer, when the seller, work with buyers and sellers, make and receive offers, negotiate offers, and get to the close. It's all the meat of why we're doing what we're doing, right? To live our life by design, to make the income we want, so we can use it for whatever purpose we have. So now we want to plan our future, so then we know what to do when we do have all this success, right? So the order of events, it's always lead gen, lead follow-up, and then you get a transaction. You really can't magically get a transaction without some level of lead gen, some level of lead follow-up. That could even be a mom who comes to you and says, oh, I would love to be your first transaction. I want to buy a house. You still have to follow up, right? You still have to do the work. All right, so set your sights on a big future. So we all have big ideas, right? I'm sure that you all thought a lot about your why you're doing this. And your why can change, and your why can be multiple things. Doesn't have to be one thing. How you think matters. How you think in the beginning really matters. Now, why do you think that's important?
That's the, oh,
Sets the tone. So this business, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, but this business requires an incredible amount of self-motivation. If you are not self-motivated, it's gonna be so difficult to achieve anything. Because self-motivation is, you're the only one that can get yourself up in the morning, get yourself dressed and get yourself ready for work. Without that paycheck at the end of the week, right? Now, we all come into it going, we make some money and look, that commission is gonna be great, and I love this idea. But you get through 6 months and you haven't had any transactions, and you're like, I haven't seen a paycheck in 6 months. Why am I going to work? What am I doing? What am I working for? Why am I putting forth this effort when I'm not getting any results? So being a true E to P, from entrepreneur to purposeful, requires that amount of work and accountability to yourself and that discipline. And it will happen. It's all, the path is in the math. It's all in the numbers. If you see enough people and you do the job and you do what they lay out to do, it will all happen. But it is frustrating, and this is where, we want to remind ourselves that activities we do now is going to really pay off later. It may be a month, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, it could even be a year, but it will be there if you just keep going. Now, that's not to say you have to survive on nothing. You may have to get a second job. You may have to do something, gig work or something to bring in a little money. We all have to have money in order to live and eat and survive. But also knowing it does take a certain amount of sweat and work and grind to get to that point. So mindset is the key, y'all. I cannot say it enough. I came into this very much like you guys. I was really excited and I came to all the classes. And I never ever thought about how important that mindset is when you're doing this. I've owned my own business. I never took a minute to stop and go, where's my head at this whole game? I'm just like, all I'm trying to do is just making sure I can keep my head above water, but I wasn't really thinking about myself. And I love the training at KW because I feel for me, it has been such a life changer, game changer, life changer, business changer, to really focus in on where my mind should be in order to be successful. And it isn't about making the money. It's about having the love for people, wanting to meet people, wanting, having that sense of purpose, that sense of, belonging. There's so many things that come with mindset that we can lose when we're in this little silo of a business sometimes. And you're not in a position to hire someone, so you don't have another person holding you accountable. So you have to find accountability partners, other agents that are in the same boat, that will say to you, hey, Mel, what did you do today? Did you do any lead gen? How's your follow-up going? And you can turn back to me and give me an answer, and you're going to be honest. And if you tell me it's been terrible and you couldn't even get out of bed, then my job will be to say, well, let's start tomorrow. I'm going to call you at 9 a.m. Let's have coffee at 9:30. Let's meet out at a coffee shop. Like, that would be my job to her. And then you would do the same for me. So that is a big part of building our business, is keeping our mindset straight. Are you aligned with your heart? I love that. How many businesses ask you that question? And can someone tell me what that means to you when you say, are you aligned with your heart?
Are you doing what feels good to you, to your soul? How I sort of like how you going about lead generating? Like now just the open house. I actually love coordinating events. So it's, what are you doing to that you are passionate in, that feels good to you, that will help you succeed?
And the word aligned to me is the key word here. Because we all have heart. We all started this with some level of passion, or we wouldn't be doing it. Does it take studying for a test? You have to get through the test process to get licensed. Then you have to find a brokerage that you align with. And then you have to get in here and learn the business. And it all takes time and it does not give you that paycheck. It's all commission based. So if your heart is not involved, do you think that's gonna be harder to do this? Much harder. So I think of like alignment of my heart would be, if I'm feeling a little like unsure about the people I'm around when I come to the brokerage, or I'm unsure about talking to people about buying a house because it feels uncomfortable, my heart is not in the right place. My heart is in a place of fear. And that is not going to serve me. So if I wake up in the morning going, wow, I really enjoy the idea of some of my friends who I feel never thought they could be homeowners, I may be the one to get them over that line. That is heartfelt. That's something for me, gives me purpose, gives me reason to do this. And then how I'm gonna do that. Yes, it needs to line up with what you're comfortable with. So I would not be comfortable just being aggressive with, I've got like people in my mind right now that I'm thinking of, that I've had conversations with. And I know they're waiting and they're like planning and they're trying to get it ready. So I would be more likely to write them a note or to set up a personal meeting with them, a personal outing, take them to lunch. Just because I really want to sit down and talk about what their fears are, or what, get to know them a little more. So lining up your heart with this business, I think is going to be a lot of what will drive you in the right direction if you keep your heart in it. If you pull your heart out of it and you make it just a business, it will smell like commission breath to people. They'll be like, oh, this person just wants a sale, but, and that's important to remember, like when you get a client and they're unsure, if you just drop them, they know where your intentions are. And it happens. I've done it. I've done that more than once, where I've met somebody and I'm all like gung ho and got to know them, and then I just don't hear from them, and I just stopped. I was like, okay, that's too much effort. And I think, I need to circle back and just say, hey, I'm just seeing you. How you doing? It's never too late. And then are you ready to take action to have a successful day? Are you? And what does that look like to you now?
Waking up, getting dressed, sticking to the time block. So whatever habits that I have in place, adhering to those.
So what does that look like specifically for you? Tell me a day in the life of
Oh,
Matt.
Lord, okay.
A day in the life of Matt.
I wake up, my first alarm goes up at 5:30, depending on how I'm feeling. I have a goal to go to the gym at least 3 times a week. And so hitting that,
What time is that?
5:30.
Oh my gosh, you really did get an early start.
Well, I was in education, so
Yeah, you're
I'm
used to it.
yeah. And then I make sure I'm on the call, pivot shift ahead call at 7:30.
Is that
Sometimes-
helping you?
For sure, lots of advice. Sometimes it's playing in the background, sometimes I'm intently listening to it, based on like, today I was printing materials for an open house.
So what is okay, when you wake up and you get your day going, are you thinking of dread, or are you thinking of enthusiastically going into the day?
Definitely enthusiastic. Sometimes I think about how long the day will be, but I think about, I guess, the reward that would come from it to kind of get me out of that mindset.
Okay. I want everyone to know this is a very safe room.
Yeah,
You
I'm not perfect.
You can share your ups and downs. There've been plenty of times that I've gotten up and like, I just don't have it in me today. I can't. I just can't. And I screw off the day, like just totally do stuff that has no relation to real estate. And I kick myself hard at the end of the day, like, I missed this opportunity. Or an opportunity pops in my face and then I'm like, oh, why am I not dressed better? I went out of the house in like nasty jeans and a t-shirt. I went by Eagle I went by this Eagle neighborhood yesterday. We were just out and about, but I was not dressed like a realtor. And I was like, you know what? I want to know about this neighborhood a little bit more. I don't care. And I just walked in, introduced myself. But all I thought was, man, I am in the clothing I would never wear to work. And I don't dress up, you know, I don't dress that like Nels in their cute little dress. I don't do that. But you know, but I had to flip my switch in my head and say, it's okay. No one's judging me. I'm just going in for information. That's all. And it was good. It was good to see this model home and, you know, and just happened by chance that I was out there, but I was not thinking about doing anything with any real estate yesterday. So, but thank you for sharing. Yeah, time blocking is helpful because it does keep you kind of mindful of like, okay, I've said I was gonna do this right now, so am I doing it? I don't know.
Just recently, within the last month, taught myself how to work myself out of feeling like the day is, I'm like a procrastinator, it's like feeling like, oh, today is gonna be so much today. I just learned how to talk myself out of that, just this month, this past month. By not thinking about all the tasks that need to be done.
Yeah.
And
Well-
just taking it step by step,
Yeah.
every single day.
The one thing, so important to know that theory of the one thing. That book is so helpful. If you haven't read the book, The One Thing, it's a really good book because it just talks about how we all tend to get overwhelmed because we do think of about 20 things that we need to be doing. And a lot of times it's 20 clients that we're thinking of. But you can only do really one thing at a time. So instead of going for the 20 that day, focus on what that one thing is that you can really hone in on. One of our best agents here, Kim Seabrill, who's top agent, does a lot of construction. She has given me advice multiple times. I can just really think about what's in front of you. That's your success right now. What's right in front of you. Don't worry about all this other stuff. Just focus in on what's right in front of you. And that has helped me so many times when I've been in panic of like having all this stuff happening. And knowing, you know, and that will happen when you have multiple clients under contract. And you're trying to do it all and you're trying to keep track and it gets to be overwhelming. So you really want to make sure that one client, put them right in front of you, that's who you're gonna serve, and don't worry about the other right at that moment. And then also the one thing. My daughter just got back from this big honeymoon that she went on, which was great. I mean, I'm like, shame on you for complaining about anything. You just got back from Thailand. But she's an artist, she's a songwriter, and she came back and she's a business owner, like entrepreneur. And she was in full panic. And I just knew she was by the tone of her voice. And I said, so what's going on? She goes, Mom, I don't know. I'm sitting in front of my computer and I'm like, I got all this stuff that I need to do. And I've got all this and I can't make any money and I have no money in my account and I don't know what to do. And she's like spiraling. I said, stop. Take a minute. I said, I'm gonna give you one word of advice as your mom. One thing. Find the one thing that you can do today to help move the needle forward just a little bit. I said, what is the one thing you can do to make some money in the next 24 hours? And it was such good advice that I gave her, and it made me go back to myself, like, I need to tell myself that when I go in that same mode, because we all do, right? We all get there. So that has been a real helpful tool for me, is really honing in on that one thing. And then looking at your time block.
Can I read you something?
Sure.
So I've started to try to read this, so this is remind me to be visible. And I got this from Mal at the end of one of her emails, under her signature.
Okay.
And it says, all men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their minds wake up in the day to find it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dreams with open eyes to make it possible. So when you talk about getting up and just taking action throughout the day, I kind of read that to realize that you have to be moving. So I've chopped up my day. Always have a daily things to do list. And it can get long and extensive, inclusive of business matters, as well as personal matters that pertain to me that are probably unique to me, that take me out of the realm of focus. But I've found that that gives you motivation to slide it to the next day to continue. And if
Mhm.
it's just one business item or two that can be done, it helps. It's all moving the needle forward.
Right,
So, yeah, I just thought it was when you break it down, much like, you said. And everybody knows how to eat the elephant, right?
right, can't eat the elephant in one day,
That's one bite of it, right?
right,
And I think to that same point, like the struggle that I ran into in full transparency is I had what, 4 open houses in one weekend. And if I had one open house, I probably would have started advertising for that open house on Monday. But I felt like because I was doing so much, not everything got the full attention that it maybe deserved or properly deserves.
Mhm.
And I had to tell myself that I did as much as I could.
right,
And leave it at that.
And
And
that's
so, and that's okay. And the result was going to be the result regardless of, what, you pour in. So what you do accomplish, what you do get done is enough. It's okay.
Yeah.
And you don't have to beat yourself up over, well, I didn't get to, add the balloons here. Or I didn't get to start advertising earlier, or maybe if I would have did this, and like thinking about all those things
yeah,
puts you in another spiral. And it feels like you're limiting what you did do, what you did accomplish.
right. And you have to remember, sometimes with open houses especially, you can do all that and still not have them
Yeah.
show up. I mean, open houses, I would say 50% is your putting your all bling out,
Yeah,
but 50%
I'm fine.
is them wanting that neighborhood, but and just know it's not always quantity. You can have 3 people come into an open house and get a contract. One out of those 3. You can have one person come in and that's the magic person that wants to buy that house. So just know it's not always quantity when it comes to open houses, but definitely the more consistent you are hosting open houses, the better you get at it. And the more people you see that are in that low hanging fruit area, and you'll find, even if you close 3 or 4 people out of open houses in the year, that's a great result. It's a great result. Yeah,
Another perspective, is I think I may have shared it now too, is it expedites your learning. It's like a funnel right now. She's doing all those open houses, all those questions. I think one of our Ignite lessons talked about credibility. And nothing helps establish your credibility is the confidence that you exude when you have a comfort level in sharing information.
Mhm.
And this business is transactional. It's accumulated knowledge through transactions. None of it's the same.
You are so right about
Wherever your favorite store is,
every.
like going to pick up that blouse and it's on sale, not the same. So.
Yeah, well, each person's scenario is different, their attitude toward it's different, the way they respond. Yes, you're so right. So pat yourself on the back big time that you reached a goal and you accomplished all those open houses. Go back to all the people that you've accumulated and just reach out to them multiple times. And just say, oh, it was such a pleasure. And tell them what your goal was. Tell them what you were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, brag on yourself on that. Say, no, just say, I loved meeting you at this open house. I just want to share with you that I set a challenge for myself of reaching this goal. And on the way, I was so fortunate to meet people like you.
Yeah.
Like, use that as a way to say, hey, I did something, like I'm really putting my efforts in, and it will show value, any level of value is always good.
Yeah.
So this belief system really needs to be somewhere for you to look at on a daily basis, if you can. This sets the tone for your transaction. There've been so many times I've been in a transaction with a challenging client, and let me tell you, 90% have been challenging, 10% have been like easy peasy. And even the 10% easy peasies weren't always friends. Sometimes the friends can be challenging, just depends. But the win-win, we all have talked about win-win so much. I'm sure you've heard it throughout the whole Ignite class. Everyone aims for win-win. A win-win is not always closing the deal. A win-win can be that situation, and that client may not be the right client. They may not be the right house, but getting that information and getting that client to that place can be a win. I always use win-win with with agents across the aisle, because I feel like I want them to know that I'm gonna do my due diligence for my client, but I'm also going to work as a partner to get to a win for both parties. I really emphasize the win for both sides. So, and that keeps me in check of doing the right thing. Because there are times your client may want to try and do something that I feel isn't a win for the seller. And I'm representing the buyer, but I try and remind my client, let's talk about what is really gonna be considered fair, ethical, all those things. And, sometimes that's part of your education with the client, is helping them know, that your job is to, of course, represent them and do the best you can to negotiate for them and do what you can to help them win the house. But there's also things they need to know in order to win. They don't wanna just knock it out of the park, like knock it off the table in their first hit at a negotiation. I just went to a client who I had to coach through this whole scenario, because, I mean, we won the house and it was $60,000 less than they asked for. But I was really uncomfortable with that offer on the date. Like, we worked our way there, but it was. And my client knew the game he was playing, knew that he was playing it with this client needing to be out, so they were really taking advantage of the fact we could close quickly, so we used a piece of it that was able to negotiate the house for the price he wanted because of the time. But I made sure, I was super transparent with the listing agent. I wanted the listing agent to know my conversations I was having with my buyer as far as understanding the value of the house and understanding what we can ask for and not ask for. I didn't play against the listing agent. Now, the listing agent was trying to play against me a little bit, getting very personal and very sensitive about their seller and using a lot of emotional tactics. And I stepped back from that and I just stayed very much on a steady plane. And we got everything that we needed. And I had the more difficult client. His client was not so difficult. But those are scenarios where my goal was win-win. That's what we're going for. And I had this agent push back on me, well, you're going for a win-lose. And I'm like, I hear you. That's why we're talking. Keep talking. Yes.
Are you able to share exactly what that looks like? When you say that the listing agent is trying to
The
fair-
listing agent was very emotional with the reactions to my offer, to the negotiation, more so than any agent I've ever dealt with. This agent was pretty combative, used combative words in text messages and conversations, used his level of experience to kind of use it as a tactic. But what I did, and I was really pleased, because I am an emotional, I'm a passionate person, as Patrice can tell you. I drive with a lot of emotion. I had to really step back and understand what the best line of communication was with this person. Texting was better for me. I was able to respond with sticking with just, hi, how you doing, Ken? Good to see you. I was really, really focused on sticking to the solution. Not sitting in the problem. Don't sit in the problem. Doesn't serve anyone. Working toward a solution, always.
And on your side, I'm sorry, and on your side, when you said I was very transparent with listening, what does that look like so that you're not giving it leverage for your?
Okay, so I was transparent with the fact that I was respectful to the seller, understanding the seller, being compassionate and having some empathy toward the seller and their circumstance, but also transparency of saying, these are the things we found in the inspection. This is why we were having this conversation. And I use it as leverage.
Understood.
I know that we both cannot, we know that this is probably an unreasonable ask. Let's talk about this. And this is, and then this is why my client has come to the conclusion. And I understand that square footage was another issue. I understand you have to follow the square footage that's in the tax records. I have explained that to my client. But also that my client understands that they can, now they know there's a difference. And so that's where they're coming up with these numbers. So just kind of being open, and the client and the agent was very happy that I was being transparent and not being, cryptic with my information. I found, and I just find the better communication I can have with the other side, the more likely I'm gonna win for my client.
My next last question as relates to that transaction.
Yeah,
What home inspection are you?
I use the one that I always use.
Which is,
I don't want to say it out loud. But, well, okay, I don't mind. Burgess, I use Burgess, yeah. Clients will they'll immediately jump on the inspectors if there's something more they find than what the inspector finds, or whatever, because inspectors can't go behind the walls. You have to remember,
of course.
they can only see what's in front of them. So if there's something, a further problem that's discovered with a plumber opening up the ceiling or whatever, that's something an inspector can't find. And I always try to make sure my client understands that. There's also a clause, I really rely a lot on the written clauses that are on these forms that they look at on the report. I reminded my client, please read the first paragraph of your inspection report, because it states that the inspector is only able, they're not licensed contractors, they're inspectors, they're licensed inspectors, and it gives them a kind of disclaimer. But yeah, just that good communication is super important. And we reached a level where when he was coming in, he was much lower than the asking price, and the guy had already dropped the price, and I mean, this whole house, we got 90,000 less than the original asking. In a great location, I couldn't believe it. But I told my client, I was very clear, I said, this is really, really an insulting offer. This, just know, if this doesn't happen, just know I'm okay with that.
Kicks and
We can be okay.
what did the appraisal come back as?
It came back much closer to the offer than it did to their asking price, which surprised me. It really, all of it surprised me, but I learned a lot.
Thank you, by the way.
No, you're welcome. I mean, I don't mind sharing certain things, because I've been through a lot of interesting transactions, as we all have. But anyway, the goal is win-win is where we want to aim toward, and that does look different in all different scenarios. Just remember, winning, if no deal is the win, that's the win. And even if there's a no deal where they turn down your offer, there's gonna be a reason. If you feel good about the offer and you've communicated the best you can to your client and you've done all your due diligence, then look at that as, okay, we're gonna win another house. We're gonna get something better, so integrity, doing the right thing. If you ever question how you approach a client, that's your integrity check. If you have to question, likely it's not the right thing. If you question if it's a fair housing violation, it is, more than likely. If you question that, you're favoring, or you're, or you're doing, you've really upset another agent, check yourself first before you turn blame on another agent. Customers always come first. Yes and no. I'm going to say yes and no, because sometimes you have to take care of yourself, because sometimes you'll have a customer who will be the wrong customer for you. There will be people out there who will do everything in their power to break all those fair housing laws. And I won't say, but I've been in that scenario, and I've had to set that person straight. That this is a violation of fair housing. We're not having this conversation.
But devil's advocate, that is the customer coming first, because you're educating them instead of going with them.
True, but sometimes you even have to go to the level of saying, I don't think I'm
Well,
you're
yeah,
a good fit for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm a good fit for you.
that's true.
And then you let them go. And trust me, this transaction I'm just telling you that I closed on, I had many opportunities where I should have. I had many people here in this office tell me I needed to let that person go. And I just, was determined because I'd spent a year with this person. I met them at an open house. It was like one of those things where I was like, I'm gonna get this person closed. And it has been a total nightmare, I'll tell you. So in a way, I'm kind of, is it worth it? You know, and I ended up giving him some of my commission too, because, yeah, it was just a nightmare, yeah. But that's okay. I mean, you do what you do. At the end of the game, if you get that close, sometimes you have to like, I mean, he ended up having to pay it. This was a really challenging one. The buyer paid my commission. That's the first time I've had the buyer pay my commission. But that was part of the deal.
Wow.
That was part of the negotiation of us coming in so low. And I knew that was gonna flare up in our face. I told him. I
The
said,
buyer paid your commission or the?
yeah, I mean, I don't blame the seller at all. I mean, we came in so low, and the seller said, you expect my client to pay your commission? No way. And I had to go back and negotiate that with my buyer. Basically saying, this is a no deal unless you pay my commission. I'm not working for free. I use those words.
Was it not established in your buyer broker agreement?
Oh, it was.
Okay.
And then I had to back it up. But I did give back a couple $1,000s to get over the line because, you know, my husband suggested that. I still would like, why did you say 2,000? We could have said 1,000.
Yeah.
I said, oh, well. That's okay, but we did, but I looked at the bigger picture of like that amount of money I got was better than zero.
Yeah. Especially after all the time.
And now I have to like really navigate when I'm going to respond to this person who, you know, continues to complain. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, in that way, this is Ken. Do y'all know Ken? Okay, this is Ken. Ken is new at the brokerage here, well, to our location. He was with Empower Home Team and now with us here at KW Richmond West. And this is some of your friends that you'll be meeting as new agents. Another James,
Yeah.
Juanita and Mel. Commitment in all things, that just means getting yourself up in the morning, committing to your day, committing to your clients, doing the work. A Sunday 10 o'clock showing that you may not feel like getting up and getting dressed to go do, but you do because you're committed to that. Communication. Always good to communicate. I don't care if they say in the MLS, text only. I do not take phone calls. The agent, I call that agent. I call them up like, oh, hey, yeah, so, I said I'd like to do text. Well, I say, I see that, but I did have a couple questions and I really like to talk one-on-one with agents if that's okay. You know, and then sometimes they'll be like, oh, sure. You know, it's just, I just take that step because I would prefer to have a conversation. At least the first conversation, say, I just wanted to give you a call and say, I look forward to your listing and I wanted to introduce myself. Boom. Get over it if you don't like it. No, I don't say that, but you know what I'm saying. Hey, how you doing? And then, creativity. I like the creativity one because it really is about always coming up with different ways to navigate. You have to be creative when you're negotiating. I mean, there's so many things to think about in negotiations. And that comes with practice, but also comes with really listening to the key negotiators of this office. Catherine Ham, did she teach negotiation class this year, or was that Kim Seaver?
Kim Seaver.
Okay, well, both of them are gurus of negotiation. Catherine Ham, if you can ever take one of her classes, and she does teach classes outside of Ignite. She's really, really good at working in negotiation. Teamwork. You always want to think of the opposite side as a team. You always want to think of your lender, your title company, maybe the inspector. All of these people are your team. So you want to use respect, you want to trust them, you want to communicate with them. Make sure that everybody understands what's going on, and also the listing agent or the buying agent. You want to pull them in and be a good communicator with them. It's nothing worse than being ghosted by an agent. It happens. I've had a couple PC agents contact me of how do I get this person, we're on a time restraint and they won't respond. And they're like, you gotta be consistent. And I always say, if they don't respond and it's timely and you can't get a response, go to their brokerage. Go to their brokerage and say, I've got this timely thing. Do I have the right number? Do I have the right phone number for this agent? Am I contacting the right person for this listing? Cause sometimes you just gotta wake them up. They may be sitting on the beach in Cancun somewhere, and at least they should have somebody at least taking their calls, and that goes for you too as an agent. You wanna make sure if you have something in the middle of your transaction and you need to go away on vacation, have someone cover for you, have someone take your calls or help you. Or have your phone with you and just know that you're gonna have to answer phone calls sometimes. Trust. Building trust in that client is gonna be key. That is the key piece. If they don't trust you, you think they're gonna trust you with a $500,000 house? No way. That's their biggest investment of their lifetime. So expecting trust without putting the effort in toward trust is not a good expectation. You really need to make sure you put that effort in, and that trust means you listen and you act. If they need help, you act on it and you stay accountable to that person. Don't drop the ball. And then equity, opportunities for all. Don't assume someone comes to you and says, I really want to buy a house, and you think you know them, and you think there's no way they could buy a house. I know how they live. I know what they do. I have a client, I'll tell you this story. I have a client, it's a friend. I know this person in one field of work. Did not know this person had a full-time job in another field of work that makes a good amount of money. And they wanted to buy a house and talk to me, and I'm like ready to kind of do all the stuff of like, well, here's what you can do with Virginia Housing, and we can help you with this, and just assuming they didn't have a down payment. And this person goes on to tell me, well, I have about $25,000 saved up. I'm like, well, that's great. That's great. Is it accessible? And they said, well, it's under my mattress in a box. I'm like, what? And then they said, and then I just ran into them recently and they said, I had forgotten, I still want to buy a house and I've added more money to my box. I've got more of that. I'm like, we got to get you that money put somewhere else besides a box. But there was so much that was, my eyes were open and I was like, wow. By just not judging ahead of time that this person, because of their profession that I knew they were in, line of work and the age and all the things that get in the way of our conversations. None of that was not what was true. There was a whole different thing going on. And so I look at that as equity. It's like, I need to look at all people as everyone's on the same playing field. Until you have that conversation and you learn a little more about them and advise them and get them going, get them to a lender. If they give you I don't want to talk to a lender. Is there anything you want to is there a fear you have? Let's talk about this. Tell me more. Just tell me more. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. That's part of that trust building. And then also, and I think there's people out there that truly appreciate being treated as though there's no assumptions about that. No one wants to have things assumed about them, So I think that's super important. And then success results through people. Your success is going to come from the transactions. That's your success and your success is building relationships, building your database, having people in your world trusting you to sell them a house. Revisiting your value proposition. How many of you wrote a value proposition early on? I believe that was class 2 or 3. Would anyone like to share their value proposition that they wrote?
How much?
I will tell you which one.
First one, define your value and connect to them.
And it may not have been, y'all may not have actually sat down and done it, which is fine, because we get to do it again. Value proposition, does anyone know what that is? What's a value proposition?
Thing that you provide to your brand, to your clients, to your customers. So the way I wrote mine is what I vow to do for them and for myself.
Okay, do you wanna read it? Do you mind?
Sure.
Is
Okay,
it long?
guys, I wrote this in August, so things have changed.
Yeah, that's what's kind of fun about it.
As an educator turned realtor, I specialize in educating, motivating, and activating my clients to achieve their real estate goals with confidence. Backed by Keller Williams industry-leading training and a people-first philosophy, I bring the heart of a teacher and the strategy of a business leader.
I like that. So what would you say differently now that you know more?
I think I want to incorporate some more of the values from our like vision statement as far as what I'm learning about people is the trust aspect. Some of the compliments I've gotten have been around integrity. And so basically taking some of the things that other agents have told me or other clients have told me that they've seen in me and emphasize those. Those are the things that I do versus the things that to be projected out there.
So a value proposition, as she says, it kind of explains who you are, what kind of value you can bring to the table. So we have to know that in order for us to negotiate the buyer broker agreement, we really have to have some type of value proposition in place for ourselves. We can't just willy-nilly say, we'll sign this because it's required by law in order for me to show you a house. And don't worry about what it says. My commission is, I'm just gonna throw a number out, 3%. And, if by chance the listing agent, if the seller isn't gonna pay it, then that's what you have to pay. That's my fee. Well, without any value, what would that say to the person? Would they immediately sign that? No, likely not. So a couple things you can do immediately is like in your buyer presentation is to provide information on what value you bring to them as an agent before you have them sign, and that can be part of your buyer presentation. That's the best way to initially do it. A lot of the value you'll start to see in your actions, but you have to at least present to them an outline of what type of value you bring. I always make sure that clients know that part of the value of the hiring me is that I will do my work ahead of time to narrow down. So we're not looking at 20 houses. Our goal is to try to just look at 5 or 6 houses. So getting more information from them. Also, my value is to provide them with all of the resources. I'm a liaison. I will be working with your title company. I'll be working with your lender. I'll be working with the inspector. I'll be working with all these people to make this the smoothest transaction possible. And it does require 20 steps or what all these steps. You don't want to hide that, because if you hide it, then they're thinking, well, anybody can do this. If you go in and say, oh, you won't even notice that you're doing anything, so easy. It's so easy. I got this. That's not going to give them any value, because that's going to say to them, well, if it's that easy, why don't I just do this myself? Instead, you want to make sure that they know you're going to take them through these steps. First step will be working with your lender and getting your loan stuff. I'm not a lender, but I will work alongside your lender and keep everything moving forward. Moving forward with the title work in good communication with them. I mean, communication is going to be a big part of it. And then also, say if I'm talking buyer right now. So if you're working with a buyer, you're going to say, let's have really good conversations ahead of time before we start looking at houses, and talk to them about what that is, and learn about their family. If you learn about their family before you start siphoning out all of their needs, it's going to answer a lot of questions. I've got Mel as a client. She's got a grandmother that she's taking care of. Well, I'm gonna have to register that as like, okay, that tells me that there's likely she needs a first floor bedroom and full bath. That tells me that she can't be on a big giant hill. Because she's probably summoning a walker or wheelchair or something. You know, so you gotta think about those things. And then learning about, like, you've got 4 kids and a grandmother, so we can't, and then your budget is 250. So then we gotta talk about, okay, well, that's only gonna happen in Prince George County or somewhere, are you okay? Are you okay with living like outside of Henrico County? Because, so kind of getting to know that stuff about them, that brings a lot of value to that meeting, that presentation. And I go through a lot of that before they sign anything. And that way they know what my job is gonna be as their agent. And, I also really try to let them know the value of Keller Williams. Cause I feel like for now, you guys don't have a record, you don't have a history of what you've done personally. So you have Keller Williams, which is such a great company, and I boost up Keller Williams on the cultural side. I talk a lot about what Keller Williams does for the community. I always talk about Red Day. I always remind them that we have this wonderful day where everybody stops working for a day and everyone gives in their community. They give back. And it's such a great day, and people like that. They want to hear that. That to me is a level of value. So Stephanie made it. Oh, you're blonde. Look at you. You told me you were gonna do that. I think you told me. You said you'd like to be blonde. I love it.
Actually, platinum.
Oh, platinum's even better, honey. I'm getting closer.
You did admit 2 people. I'm quite confident.
Oh, that's actually coming from the front desk. That should come from the front desk. They're supposed to do that. No, you're all right.
How's it going?
Oh, wait, no, we're not supposed to do that. Yeah, we're not,
That's right.
let's get in line. We're just doing that for recording. Oopsies. Here, not long.
I don't mind doing very good.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Okay, so back to where we were. So we're talking about value. So you want to think about like what your value includes, what you're planning to do in value for your client. Like you want to bring value, and that's knowledge, that's experience, that's with brokerage and the brokerage's track record and experience, credibility and honesty, all those things. So thinking about blocking first. Thinking about that, writing it in a paragraph, or you can put it in a list. You can do affirmations of yourself. That helps. What kind of person are you? What kind of person do you want to be to your client? Do you want to be the person who is, you can use words like loving and kind and honest and empathetic, or you can use words like confident and strong and assertive and, whatever you find are your values. Then you write those down and start to pull together some level of value proposition that you can have. And it might be good to have it written in front of you when you go to your buyer agent, buyer broker, buyer consultation, that's what I'm trying to say, or your listing consultation. Listing side, the value you bring to that listing is you are going to know that market. You're going to learn that market. You're going to educate them on truly what their house will sell for. People will always want to sell their house for more than what the market says it should be. That's just the nature of who they are. They think, oh, wow, people's houses are selling for $550,000 down the street. I'm going to sell mine for $550,000. And you know what? I'm not going to redo my kitchen because that's going to cost me too much money. Those are the conversations you're going to have. And that your value may have to be educating them, helping them understand how this works. I always tell my listing clients, you know, you may think you want to list it high and then we can bring down the price, but it's really a good way to drive more offers and get more people in the door is to go by rule of thumb about 10% less than what the market says it's worth. You drop that number 10% less, there's a likelihood you'll drive that number up. But it's better to start low and drive it up than to start high and have to bring it down. The minute you go high and bring it down, people are gonna then lowball. Like that transaction I just had that we got for 60 grand less. He started way too high. And I watched it and it came down, and then we looked at it and it came down again. Well, see, it came down twice, so then we had leverage, we had room to negotiate down. And then if you're confident to make this shareable, you know, bring it down like yours, Mel, yours is great. I would abbreviate it, bring it down to a much tighter place. It's on here too long. Come on. Okay. All right, any questions? Any questions right now? Okay. I'd like to read this quote.
One thing all high achievers have in common is they are working for a big why. The big why is about having a purpose, a mission, or a need that turn in, or need in turn gives you focus. Let me read that again. The big why is about having a purpose, a mission, or a need that in turn gives you focus. Sorry, that was on the end.
No, you're good. You're good. I appreciate you volunteering. It is written kind of like a run-on sentence. Yeah, the big why. And my big why has changed. My big why has changed multiple times. I mean, I have some big whys that are financial big whys, and then I have some personal big whys. Some people use a big why, their kids are their big why. But your big why is definitely about what is going to motivate you enough to get up every day and do this job, and knowing that paycheck may not be coming in for a while. That's going to be what you want to have in front of you. And once you get your first transaction and you see your first commission check, there's a real motivator right there. I'm like, oh, that was nice. I got to do this again. I'm ready to go. And then that's a good motivator. But also having children who look to you as like, wow, my parent is doing this new thing, and they're out there talking to so many people, and they're making it happen. I mean, just being that role model, that could be a great big why of why you're doing this. You're setting yourself up for your kids. You're putting yourself in a position of like trying to make some money or trying to build success for your children. I had a couple big whys this last year that I reached, and so now I'm going to knock those out, and I'm going to go on for the next one. One of my big whys was to buy a house. I wanted to buy a house again, and it happened. My two kids got married. Finally, they just decided to do that within 6 weeks of each other. But I told my daughter, I said, it was so important to me. I mean, I was in nonprofit in the arts, so you can imagine, not a great position to be in to throw 2 weddings in 1 year, Yeah, and my daughter, they both were pretty good about like not going crazy, but I just wanted to be able to know that I could pay for my daughter's wedding without her having to change any of her dreams. I wanted her to just say, Mommy, this is what I want. And she's in her 30s, but I'm still like, Mom, this is what I want. And they were willing to pay for some of it. And I said, no, I got this. And I knew, oh, wow, this is going to be a lot, but I did it. And I felt so good that I could do that. And I thought, you know what? I couldn't have done this 5 years ago, But I did it this year because I'm in this business and you know what? I knew when I was told in December that this was happening and I was gonna have a wedding August 23rd and October 4th. I'm like, oh my gosh, but I gotta double down.
Mhm.
I did 6 deals in the summer, right before this wedding.
Nice.
I haven't done 6 deals that short.
Mhm.
But man, I was like on the phone, with these people that I had
Everybody else needs to get.
follow up, like, I followed up till the cows came home, man. I was like, you sure you know what, are you ready to sell? Okay, yeah, let's do it. We should actually beat the market and let's do it by August, by August 23rd. Yeah, but I was pretty, no, really. But I mean, I really put that big why straight in front of me and it motivated me and things happen. So I can tell you, it works. It works. And I'm not saying it has to be specific, it can be a big picture. I know Melissa Afline always says her kids are her big why,
Mhm.
and that keeps her going, because she's a single mom. Very good reason to be in that big why headspace. But if you don't have that big why, then you're gonna be grinding in this business going. "Do this." And I tell you, I think a lot of people leave real estate because they don't have that. They're grinding and they're frustrated and they're discouraged. I've talked to so many agents who've been in the business for a long time, like through shifts and through all the, like the 2009-10 crisis, all that, and they're so jaded and they just talk about how the business, I mean, how are you doing in business? It's been a terrible year. I mean, I hear this a lot. And I'm like, and you know what my answer is? I've had the best year I've ever had. This has been a great year. Like, I hope, why don't you consider coming to Keller Williams? We're having a great year over here, I'm not gonna let somebody pull me down into that hole, of like, saying, oh yeah, the market's been terrible. Market's good in Richmond.
That's on their end.
That's on there, yeah. So, big why, because you are after extraordinary results, it is the reason you get up every day and do what you do. Does anyone else want to share their big why? At the moment? Anybody got a big why?
Mine is just my daughter, and I have 2 aging parents.
So you can kind of have a little more financial freedom with that
Yeah, it's been
and support. Anybody else?
No.
Oh, I didn't
Put money in the bank.
Yeah, and of course, those I.
Mine is to be debt free.
Yeah.
Like mine is to be debt free in 2026.
Oh, that's your new one?
That's my new why. I just knocked out the 5 things that accumulated during this wedding prep. I was like, knock
Okay.
those out. So I just did that with a close. And I was like, okay, got that off the board. Then I'm gonna keep going at this other debt. So that's one of my big ones now. And to go to Europe.
Mm.
Never been to Europe. I know. Mine feel materialistic, but I feel like I deserve to be materialistic for a minute.
For me, mine was more to provide a structure and a legacy for my family. Cause I felt like I kind of had to dig my way to find my success. And I don't want them to have that. I don't want them to struggle mentally or financially or physically, in those areas. Just to have life essentials and in structure.
Mhm. I like that. I think, and I think that's a great big why, like, and I see that too. I want my kids to learn about being financially literate early on and understand how important it is to have real estate, to have, to things like that. But I never had anybody like lead me through that. So, yeah, those are all good things, leaving a legacy of some kind. That's part of the mission of legacies worth leaving, I think is what it is. Of Keller Williams, so. Big why powers your big life. So keeping that big why in front of you will power the big life you want to have. If you lose sight of your big why, then it just becomes another job that you're doing, that you're grinding, and it's not going to help you at all. This is all part of your mindset. Any ahas you'd like to share?
Big why. Partner's big why. My big why really is for, financial independence.
Mhm.
I have businesses, but I'm a partner. I want to keep being a partner. Especially when I'm kind of really running the business by myself.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna do it by myself, I need to be. So I'm doing it just to have something separate.
So you're in partnership with your daycare.
Yeah,
So-
but I am the dick. I just left it. So that means that I'm really,
You left a partnership?
no, I'm still there.
Oh, I was
But
like-
the most of the work. So
Oh,
the partner is really the investor
gotcha.
and I
Okay.
am the
And you're
pouring
the,
and
you're
the
the,
work and the
right.
everything else. So I wanted financial independence. 'Cause if I'm a
Gotcha.
sheriff, I'm gonna do all the
Autonomy.
work, and then I'd rather do all the work. I'm sorry.
right, no, I get it, I totally, I mean, you and I.
Just a little independent.
Yeah, and autonomy is really important. I think in real estate, you can carry a lot of autonomy because it's pretty much you until you decide to add someone to your list. You know, and you have to be super intentional about how that looks. So do any of you need to go to the restroom? We can take a couple minutes. You need a break? Okay, and then we're gonna jump into our money, the money part. Have a smart money, okay.
No.
All right, let's be back in like 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. Don't take too long.
Okay, good.
Ah. Brian, did you do an open house this
Thanks.
weekend?
Did
you get it?
Let people in the gate.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Sorry.
So I told them, we got it, but I think so, thank you.
Yeah, that's right, this is
But,
a new addition.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Been on the boys room.
For Triple A, there's something like that right there.
Segregated.
Right after the cemetery.
Okay,
And it
it's a huge house.
wasn't huge, but it was.
What was the win, Steph?
And the guy.
I win?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Or what?
So-
Or my,
It was-
Yeah, this little game.
Oh, yeah.
I learned something.
I remember when Jimmy got tired of fucking with the wrong
Can't leave it at time now. So that's a good way to get it.
You know what?
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
You know, when you said that, I.
That's good. It
Um,
was good. It
So
was good. I was dog sitting this weekend, my daughter. And, it was kind of nice. I was at her house
And he was willing to
and
look
no
over it.
husband, so I
That's
could
right.
sit and binge
Finish
watch
it.
it. Bad TV.
There you go.
Stuff that he was like, oh, I can't watch that, like, you know, rom-coms and stuff, so,
Today.
and worked on some stuff. I got a random client this weekend from going to a fundraiser. It was so funny. Now talk about it, like being intentional. So I got invited to this fundraiser on Friday night and I was like, oh, I don't want to go. It was with my best friend. It's for Appomattox Regional Governor's School. So it's down in Petersburg Country Clubs. I don't know if y'all have ever been there, but it is the middle of nowhere, Dinwiddie County.
It ain't that far. Stop it.
It's,
Hey,
oh, we were wandering all around in the dark going, where's it gonna be?
It's tough, but
But I went and I told her, I said, okay, I'll go. But I'm gonna go with the idea that I'm gonna meet somebody. I'm gonna make this a real estate thing.
You gonna
And
leave
she
here.
kind of laughed and I'm like, hey, I don't know very many people there, so might as well. So I sat down at this table and I used to work at this place called Spark, which is the School of the Performing Arts in the Richmond community. It's a theater arts nonprofit in town. I worked for like, I don't know, more than 10 years. I worked there off. So I sat down at a table and it just so happened the executive director of Spark and the director of development of Spark, and then somebody else was sitting there at the table. I had never really met this new executive director.
The slice version.
So I introduced myself and I started talking, and they know my daughter and everything, so we're talking and I'm having these long conversations with this guy. So getting to know him, it was really nice. And I was telling him all about my history at Spark and all the stuff that we used to do, blah, 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 I've been talking shop the whole time. And then I said, yeah, it's real estate now, I said, I totally closed that door, like, I just took the opportunity to say, I'm no longer doing that. This
as
is
you
what-
should.
And come to find out, he says, yeah, since I live in Churchill, and I'm like, oh, cool. I said, I love Churchill. I lived there for 5 years. And he told me where he lived, and then he says, yeah, but my wife really wants to live in Goochland. And I said, oh, I said, are you looking to move? And he goes, yeah, maybe probably like May of 2026, like sometime in the spring. And I said, do you have a realtor? You know, I'm gonna ask you. And he goes, no. And I'm like, well, I would love to help you. So I handed him my card. And I don't normally do this when I hand my card, but I actually said, I'll tell you what, for me to get your information, if you just go on this QR code, you can fill out the information on the QR code. I told him to do that.
Yeah,
Lo and behold, I got home at night, he had done that.
good deal.
And so I just wrote him a note and said, I look forward to working with you. Let's get together.
Was that your blink card?
No, it was actually, I have a QR code on my business card that goes directly to my KW app. And when they fill it out, it hits them on my command.
Hmm.
And, it worked.
Yeah.
And I don't normally do that when I hand out my card, so I don't have a lot of people that sign in that way. But by telling him to do that, he actually did it.
That's awesome.
And,
It goes to my link tree. And on my link tree, I have a Google form that's like, if you're interested, you can go there. It goes to all my social medias, goes to the app. Like the link tree basically has all the links of what you can connect with me,
oh, cool.
but
Are people doing it?
they are. And then I have my Google form set up, so when somebody fills out, I can. It goes straight to my email, so I can.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's what I need to do that.
Use so much of the command app, but.
Well, the command app is great because they start searching for houses.
Yeah.
And they hit a heart and you can see what they like. And it really helps narrow down.
I think I found more information from, Seth Thomas, who that, that's criteria search. and
Uh-huh.
looking
Yeah, I do that
there
too.
As well.
Anyway,
I think
so,
that's pretty neat, though. It just shows the reason why you should be outside.
right. Well, it was just,
Way down in Petersburg,
I know.
to meet people that are here in Churchill and.
it wasn't even in, I really wasn't even having an intentional conversation
You
for
know,
that,
yeah,
but it fell right into place. And I was
And
like,
that's
well,
why it
this
works.
is-
Yeah.
And that's why he was so willing.
Yeah, and so now my job is to reach back out. I mean, I emailed him, but I'm gonna reach back out again and, you know, this is the time for us to talk, so we know what your plan is. And I was thinking, he has to have at least, I mean, he's in a townhouse on Broad Street in Churchill. He's got a good sale. It is smooth, Margaret. Anyway, I'm about to leave that I just got this weekend. Random trash.
Congratulations on that one.
Thank you. I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh. Who would have thought? Yeah, but, yeah, it does help sometimes when you go to places, just let them know what you're doing. That you're not, you know, you're real estate.
Beauty of it, it didn't start.
Yeah, it didn't start. No, we were just having a nice
Yeah.
conversation, which was good.
You
All right, y'all,
just-
we're back. We're back.
Hit some up.
Thank you.
I love this, helping each other.
James has been my advocate this weekend. He has really, like, I'm going into his bucket on Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember him, telling me that he was still with contract, so I made a
Okay.
mental note and he took some time with me this weekend.
We still, Patrice will still.
Oh,
look at it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
All right,
that's
fine.
standard disclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like just.
I hope you're right, it's
Yeah.
gotta go for trees.
Yeah, yeah.
All the way as correct as
No, I-
possible when I approach you and.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, all right, the 6 core competence, thank you, James. That's
Very much,
nice.
James.
You're welcome. Don't get in trouble.
No, you're not gonna get in trouble. No. 6 core competencies of a business. So these are the things that you have to follow. Your lead generation, capture, and convert to appointments. You can't have anything unless you do that. So like I made a lead on Friday, I have to convert that to an appointment.
Aren't you right?
Yeah, but I mean, now that's my job now is to do that.
Right.
Convert it to an appointment. Present the buyers and sellers and get an agreement. So like I said, having a good buyer presentation and listing presentation in place. So you can get those forms signed. Show buyers and market sellers. So once you get your buyer, show them houses. It can be tedious. It can be more than 5 houses. Be patient. Learn every house they look at. Ask questions of what it is about this house that you like the most. How many boxes does this check? Do the box checking. That helps so much. Right off the bat, let them know you likely will not check every box. What are the most important boxes to check? And they'll start to tell you. And then marketing sellers. Talking right away to your seller, letting them know what your marketing plan is gonna be. Letting them know that you're going to, reach out to all the certain agents, or you're gonna, door knock that area, you're gonna host an open house, have a plan in place. A lot of times you'll wanna set up the first weekend plan with them, where you're gonna say, the best day to put something on the MLS is a Wednesday or a Thursday, and we're gonna have an open house on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or all 3 days, and we're gonna ask for offers by Monday. You know, just kind of have a plan to lay out, unless they want to take an offer as they come. Then you can talk about that, whatever they want to do, but you just lay that out so they understand what that looks like. Also, I would talk to them directly about how many days you want it to be on the market before you decide to lower the price, and have a set price of how much you want to lower it to. And put that in your listing agreement. Say, on day 12, we will lower the price by 10%. Or 5%, or whatever it is, or $12,000 or $10,000, or whatever you decide to do. But have that in place, so there's no big alert of like, what? You know, getting that up front is helpful. Write and negotiate contracts, that is our job. If you have a transaction coordinator, they do not write and negotiate. It's your license that's on the line. As a PC coach, I will look at that. I will talk you through negotiation, but that is your client. That's your liability. Just remember that. That's why it's so important as new agents to run those contracts past us, so we make sure you don't miss something, or you put something in the wrong place, or you don't want to miss checking a box. Even if the box seems unnecessary, you check the box. If it's redundant, you still check the box, like on the financial part. Yes, you're financing, check the financing box. Say that you're FHA, yes, you check that box. Put the amount, yes, and then write it out, yes. How much you're financing, 90%, yes. You're gonna put all that stuff in there. How many points is the finance, are they giving? 0, write 0. How many days, what is this loan for? It could be a 15-year loan. It's a 30-year loan, put 30-year loan in there. You know, you see what I'm saying? You gotta make sure everything is checked. Coordinate the sale to closing. So you're the one coordinating all of the timeframes, all the deadlines. Now, if you have a transaction coordinator, they will be with you doing that. But I suggest you follow that transaction coordinator all the way through, so you know it's front of mind. Termite inspection is due by this time. You've agreed to an inspection period of 10 days. Get that in earlier so you have enough time to negotiate. The minute you get that over to the seller, it's gonna be, clock starts over at 7 days for them to, now you're in negotiations. So think about all that stuff, write it on your calendar, have something that you can put that on. So you understand all the things you need to do before closing. Put your stuff in command ahead of time. And we will talk about that a little bit later, but yes, do not miss that step. You will not be paid if it's not in command. Managing your money. Once you get your money, know that money's got to be split apart. So we're going to talk about that. There's your money. You made $1 on this sale. Woo! All right. So your market center, these are the places where your commission will go. Your market center, your business expenses, taxes, and your take homes. Now, remember, the commission is the brokerage's commission. You get paid out of that commission. Remember that. Keep that in your mind. So when you're talking about commission, you're talking brokerage to brokerage. Just don't forget that. Don't think of it as that $10,000 is my $10,000. No, that $10,000 belongs to Keller Williams. Then there's a split that you've agreed to, and there's all these things that you want to consider in that money. All right, so this is where your commission dollars go. Okay, so back it up. So market center. So that little bit right there, Now that looks like a big chunk, but 70%, I mean, if you're on a 70-30, we're just gonna say 70-30. 30% goes to the market center, but also 6% goes for the royalty. And that's for, I mean, the market center gets 6% goes toward your royalty. 30% goes toward Keller Williams. Okay. 6%, when you cap out at $3,000, you no longer pay that 6%. You'll do that before you cap. The cap that we have at our market center, general, and all this stuff is negotiable, but as new agents, $25,000. So you have to pay them up to $25,000 and then you can keep 100%. So that in numbers of deals, that can be anywhere from, like, depending on how big the deals are. But I would say, if you look at average, I'd say between 10 and 15 deals. Taxes. You want to consider 25 to 30% in taxes. That's a big chunk. Probably at the lower income level, you won't need that much in taxes, but it's good to put that aside. And then the rest is your take home. So you kind of dwindle down to just this amount right here as yours. Now, when you look at that dollar bill, you look at that, that feels like, wow, I'm doing all this for that. But multiply that into 10,000, 15,000, 25,000, and it starts to look a little bit better. Now, financially sound or unsound? This column on the left, you've sold it, you got $9,000. You get 5760, so they've taken their 30% out. So you see 5760 that comes to you directly to your bank account. It's your personal account and it goes in your wallet. You haven't taken anything out other than that. The other side is you get your 5760. You put a portion of that in your business account. You put a portion in your personal account. The personal account, you pull the taxes out. And then you have what's left over is yours. And you want to consider all these taxes. That's a better practice on the right than on the left.
Yeah, equal.
And whether you like it or not, they're gonna come after it. Money is good for the good it can do. I love that. Yes.
That last picture you had up there, are there any standard percentages that are allotted?
Yeah, I mean,
Or what is the typical?
we'll talk about that shortly. There's
Oh,
gonna be
it's
a more
coming up.
breakdown.
Okay.
Yeah. But 30% comes out for the brokerage.
Oh, no.
Right off the top,
not
but-
necessarily. I'm talking about
the-
once commission.
Yeah, so once you get to your 70% or 64%, basically. Then out of that 64%, you'll want to pull about 25% out for taxes. They say 25% or so for marketing. You don't need that much for marketing off the bat, but you'll want to have a spot for taxes and you'll want to have a spot for business expenses. Because you're gonna have all your fees and all that, so. Money is good for the good it can do. I love that. Gary Keller has a whole podcast on really what money means in this business. Because there are people out there that are perfectly fine with the GCI, that's gross commission income of $100,000, and that's a lot to them. And that gross commission income, you have to break that down, so you probably only see about 60 or, maybe 60,000 out of that 100,000. If you can live with that, and that does what you need it to do, that's a successful plan. Money is only as good as what it can do, right? So you want to always keep that in mind. That's where your big why comes in. That's why, you want to really focus on what is that number that will be what will help you move forward and live the life you want to live. Now, the flow of money, and we all know this is pretty much how we think of money flow. If you have a job, a regular job out there where you get paid by someone, you get your paycheck every 2 weeks, that's your income. Then you pull out your money for your rent and your utilities and your your student loans or your, all your credit cards or whatever it is you have to pay for each month. And then what's left is your money that you have as your profit. They put a little bit of savings or whatever, but this is a system that works for most people. This is how they function. This on the other side, this is more goal oriented. So we want to look more at like, what do we want our profit to be? What is that number we want at the end of all this? And then how many houses do I have to sell in order to get that profit? And then what expenses, how can I minimize these expenses in order to get that net profit that I want? So this puts your emphasis on the profit and not on the final end game. So you're not focused on income, you're focused on what do I want at the end of this and what's it gonna take to get there? And then the income comes in. Right, so expenses related to your real estate business. Did any of you come to that accountant class, the business class? This last one was really good. She broke down some of the things that you can and can't write off, which is really helpful. I would have to have a meeting with her. The cost of sales. The cost of sales in this business are pretty much, a lot of it is fixed. So the cost of sales is related to each transaction that you make. So that means every time you get paid, a portion goes out to the brokerage. You can write that off. That's a cost of sale. The royalty fees, that's at 6%. You can write that off. That's always going to be pulled until you reach that cap. Commission or splits paid to employees or independent contractors involved in the sale. So say you have a transaction coordinator and you give them a split, a portion, that's something that you write off, but that's considered a cost of sale because it's only because you're in a transaction. You wouldn't have that expense if you weren't in a transaction. Referral fees. If someone sends you a referral, you're going to pay them 25%. That's tax deductible. That's a cost of sale. So that would be in a different line item in your accounting. So that's important to remember. All of those have to do with a transaction. You would not have any of those expenses if you didn't have a transaction. So that's just a good way to remember that. Then your operating expenses. In order for you to operate business, you have to pay the NAR fees, you have to pay the RAR fees, you have to pay the VAR fees, you have to pay the your rent, whatever you're using for your office, your car, your gas mileage, all the mileage that you're putting on your car. If you pay, well, this has transaction coordinator. That's kind of a slip. That's like I'm not sure where that falls. Because you don't pay a transaction coordinator unless you close a deal.
Right.
But that could mean if you have somebody on staff that you're paying to do your transactions where they get paid regardless, that would then fall under operating expense.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So we did do our class on this, last week. One of the agents was saying, well, every time I get in my car, I'm leaving Jenny. When you went to your event this weekend that you didn't want to go, but you ended up with a client,
That was a business expense.
so that's a business.
I would call that a business expense.
So at first it wasn't though, but you would turn it into a business.
I paid for our treats. I got you, because I had real estate conversations right then and there, yep.
So
I know
it can be, but
Can
it'll
be.
turn into something later, okay?
No, I didn't drive there, so I can't use that mileage, because she drove there, but, yes.
But had you driven there,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
you could have been.
that was a marketing event. That was, for me, that was an opportunity to.
So you already went
With that
with it
mindset,
being business,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, so I pulled out my business card and used it, I say for treats. Because that was all donated toward fundraising.
I just
Any
wanted to know
marketing and
how that
advertising?
time was between,
Well, I mean, the good thing about real estate is you're working all the time. You really are. Like, honestly. Like, I was just at my daughter's this weekend dog sitting, but I was working while I was there. So, my mileage to her place, I'm gonna use because I was working on stuff like an office. I mean, you have to be careful not to fully take advantage, but there's a lot of loose areas in real estate. Professional services, that's like if you hire an accountant, if you pay for pest control for somebody, if you help a client with something, or you go ahead and get something done for a house that needs to be done, you pay for stager, you pay for photography, all that stuff is tax deductible. When you do your flyers, make sure you keep track of how much you spent on your ink for your printer that you're printing all your flyers on. The paper that you buy, like all that is marketing. So those are all expenses that are there, whether you do a transaction or not. So you want to be very, very conservative with your business expenses when it comes to marketing. Really do it like, if you're gonna have an event, find somebody to help sponsor it, or make it just a gathering where you gather in a brewery and they buy their own thing, and maybe you can get a few snacks at Walmart instead of ask if you can put something on the table, like some candy or something, or, or just buy at the bar some little bites. But it's minimal spending for your networking event.
Marketing and advertising, you can use the apps, subscriptions, because CapCut
Yeah.
just charged
Oh, yeah, yeah.
$9, because I forgot to end my free trial.
Oh, yeah, you write off all those,
Okay.
all that stuff. I write off YouTube.
Oh.
TV. Because I use YouTube
Don't let me
as a
think.
way to, research and just, yeah, I do classes, YouTube. What can I say, Think about those educational expenses.
Mhm.
Best practices, gain clarity on your big why, plans for your future, set your personal and business budgets. So we're gonna be doing business planning on Wednesday. I urge all of you to come to this from 9 to 2. It really does lay it all out for you and puts it in a formula and like gets you thinking about how many transactions you really need to have to reach the goal you have. And you can set a big goal. And, you'd be surprised, you may reach that goal that you set or get close to it, Open additional accounts. There's nothing wrong with having multiple accounts. I'm about ready to open another account because my husband does some seasonal business. And I've decided I want to put that money in a different account, completely separate from my bank account. And then I've got 3 accounts, but I want to open another account just to have like an account that's far away from my Bank of America that I won't touch because it's so easy to move money around. I suggest going to different banks because that will prevent you from being able to easily move money. Hire an accountant. I definitely advise you to hire an accountant. Right now, you're probably still just trying to get business, but have one in mind so they can set you up. Having an LLC is helpful. You don't have to do it right up front. I would wait till you have some level of business, but once you do, it's a good thing to do because it kind of protects your liability. The MREA, are y'all familiar with this Millionaire Real Estate Agent book? There's a lot of little gems in here that talk about how to set up a business. I highly recommend that you have this book handy. It is helpful. It's a lot. This book will make you feel like I am not a millionaire. I have this kind of budget. I'm going to make $1 million this year. But if you can mentally know that you can scale this down, that's helpful because it can be a little overwhelming. Like, okay, I'm not going to be able to do 60 transactions my first year. Set dates to calculate and pay your estimated taxes, prepare your future insurance savings and investments. That's a lot. Now, we're at the beginning of this, right? So we're in a place where we're just trying to make a little bit of money to make up for our fees that we had to pay to get into this business. You might be a little bit in debt because you're having to carry your monthly fees without income. So just know, this is all goal setting, but your first year may be recovery. You might be in more recovery mode than you are in, and I'm gonna make all this money and have all this money to invest. And I mean, it just doesn't, we know that. Doesn't work. You're having to start, you're starting at a little bit of a loss. Unless you really did save up a whole lot to get started and you're not in a loss. Think it at the wage you want before you earn it. Average is as average does, good is as good does, and great is as great does. What you do is who you become. So that's a very interesting statement, I think. Because if you don't have any money, how hard is it to have to act and look like you're rolling in the dough when you're not? Well, a couple things, practical things. If you want to look professional, there are some amazing thrift stores in town. I'm all about the $5 outfit. I love that. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel good on all levels that I'm being mindful of waste. I'm also knowing that I'm living within my means. And, just know presentation is a big part of this. You want to present yourself professionally. Get a black jacket somewhere. Just having a blazer for the guys, throw on a blazer with your jeans and shirt. Makes a huge difference in your presence. You dress for success. You want to think of that. Also, it does help your confidence, your mindset. When you're going out on a day-to-day basis, kind of prepare yourself to possibly say to someone that you're in real estate and not feel like you want to run and hide like I did when I was out and about. Just that's part of what that is. It's not just physical appearance though, it's also really just knowing in your mind you're a real estate agent now, and the image people have of real estate agents is like you're driving a fancy car, you're doing all this, you're driving a fancy car, but clean your car. Have your car presentable. It can be an old car. I love this one podcast Gary Keller talks about when he first got in real estate. He was driving a Jetta and he was picking his son up from school or something. Somebody said to him, "Are you still driving that Jetta? Aren't you like really successful in real estate? Like you should be driving a Mercedes." And then looked at him and says, "What's important to me is in this school, my son. This car gets me to that and gets me where I'm going. And I love this car. So no, this is important to me." And it kind of flipped the table of like, I am not going to do that because I don't need to. My important thing here is my son and getting to his events and making sure I can do that. And I'm going to drive my Jetta to do that. And he was kind of all that about that. But I love it because in his mind, that was perfectly fine. And I loved hearing the head of a multi-millionaire, probably billionaire, talking about driving a car that meant something to him that was important. And for him, it was not important to run out and buy a new car just because he was now in real estate. So I like that. So, but just kind of think about your presentation and how if you want to make money, you want to kind of look like you're in that mindset of like making a living at this. Okay, so this is how you break this down. This is always so fun in a way that I get stuffed on this every time I talk this class. So you want to think about your net income. So go ahead and write down a number that you want as your net income. And if anyone wants to share what they want their net income to be, feel free to share. I don't care. I mean, this is a safe space.
The first 6 months or per year or like.
I'd say for a year. Let's look at it for the year. Okay, I'm gonna write down what I want my net income to be. Net, they all net. This is not gross. This is net. This is what I want my net income to be. 150,000. Net. Never done that before, but that's what I want. Okay. Now, the next step is gonna be your company dollar and royalty cap. So the reason they have 15% is because there's a cap, so you have to think about like, it's only gonna be $3,000. So if you want to just write in $3,000, go ahead and just write in $3,000. That is the royalty cap. Okay. So the other number you want to take out is 30%. Calculate 30% of that net number. What do you get? Stephanie, tell me what do you get?
Of that, your number or my number?
Your number. We're talking, this is my number.
All right, hold on, give me a second. Moving this in my chunk.
Yours is 191,100.
Okay,
191, for her number, I think.
Okay.
She's tracking 3,000.
Let's take the 3,000.
okay.
Oh, no, it's not.
150.
Oh, you're one.
Yeah.
So if I'm just gonna go ahead and put in, because I know that $25,000 is the cap.
Yeah.
And my net is beyond, I would cap with this net. So I'm just gonna add in $25,000.
I'm still great.
Now, if you were at $100,000,
30,000.
it may not be, yeah. So I'm just calculating my cap into this. So now my gross commission and my business expenses. And my business expenses, I'm conservative. So I'm gonna put, I don't really count, I wanna say like, I'm gonna put another 20,000. Like I said, kind of conservative. Okay, so if I add all that together, I have 8,
Oh,
9, 198. I have is that right? Or, yeah, 198,000 is my gross commission income. So that's what I need to see GCI in order to get 150,000. You see, so I added in my royalty that I pay. So this is my net. So then I'm gonna add these things that I paid in. What?
It's still not.
Well, I mean, I'm just rounding.
No, no, what I'm saying is that you still have, your social security, your taxes, and your withholdings.
Right,
out of it.
right. But the GCI is what we're going for.
Okay.
And then so net, we're just looking at a net in before we pay taxes. This is before you pull out your taxes.
Are you able to use a black pen? I can't see that.
Sure.
You don't like writing in a pencil?
You don't like that? You don't like that pen?
It's invisible.
I can see it.
That's because you're young. You're young.
No, I am actually really blind with contacts, without my contacts. I'm like,
There you go.
Oh, 150, and then I'm adding the 3,000, because that's the cap of the royalty. And I'm adding the cap, Marcus said cap, and then I could add in, if I wanted to add in taxes as well,
Mm.
I could then make this 50, throw this at 50,000. Roughly. That's a big number. So my GCI, that's my gross commission income, would be 228. So 228,000 is what my gross commission income needs to be. so now, what is the average commission per house? What would we say? The average, I'll say the average house in Richmond right now is 480 roughly.
Did you predict for this, these expenses, or you're
I
not?
presented at 50,000.
Oh, with your taxes,
Tax,
all that
business,
stuff, okay.
I can say I'm conservative.
Listen,
I don't spend a ton of money on marketing or anything, I'm not a DIY, but that's the thing.
14.4 per transaction.
So what is that? 14.4?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I take 14.4 as my average commission. And I divide that into 228, so someone let's do that math.
16 transactions.
How many?
16.
16. Now that means I'm gonna be selling some $700,000 houses along with my $300,000 houses. 16. Y'all, 16. New agents do 16. I've already done, I don't have that, but because I don't have an average of 14 for my commission. But I've already done 13 transactions this year. I have some time to go. I'm gonna knock some out. But 16, so we know there is potentially money. Money is there, but it's a numbers game, right? So we have to remember that we gotta have some goals. So anyone want to share what their commission gross, or let's say your net is that you want out of this business? Well, dream, y'all, tell me some dreams.
Well, I just did this yesterday on my computer.
What is it, tell me your dreams? It's all,
That's why I said 6 months or a year, because I did for 6 months.
what you get for 6 months?
150, and it was still in my 16.
Okay,
And
so that means,
it's
that
like
means 32
30
transactions in a year.
I don't have a
Okay.
transaction volume, account volume, just a dollar volume.
So what did you do as your net?
7.5.
1.5 million?
7.5
7.5 million?
for action, transaction value.
Okay. So how many transactions was that?
I don't care. Could be 1, could be 16.
No, I know, but I mean, we want to talk about like what this number could look like when you're talking numbers.
I think realistically for,
Now you're talking volume,
yes,
so you're wanting that in volume,
I go off of volume, like
okay.
dollar amount, that's a transaction.
But when you calculate your goals and you're in business planning, you're gonna talk about these numbers because. Yeah, your volume, like this volume. This will look very different. This will look like, that volume, I would say. I can't do this in my head, 5 point something million, 6 million in volume roughly. That's a lot of volume.
Yeah.
I look at this, but it's easier for me, goal wise, to look at a number like 16 and go, okay, we've got 12 months in the year. That means I have to do at least 1 per month,
mhm.
and if not, 2 per month. And then I'm looking back on my track record, I've done 13 and I'm in month 10. Okay, so I'm above the once a month average. So then if I can keep that going, I might hit, 16 to 20 by the end of the year. 20, I wanted to hit 20, but I'm not gonna hit 20 realistically, gotta be realistic. But I'm pleased with my goals that I set, and I'm getting to those goals. So this is just a good system for you to come have in front of you and putting that number in front of you of how many transactions, because you can only do one transaction, one at a time. You can have 5 going at once, but everything's got to get to a close. Now, if you aren't close to that goal, it's okay. Because $150,000, maybe 10 transactions, depending on what you sell. It may be 25 transactions, depends on what you sell. But every sale is worth selling, right? Every sale is something heading you toward your goal. So thinking about your net and what you want to see at the end of the day. Now, net doesn't mean that money isn't gonna have to go towards certain living expenses. You're still gonna have to live. So you wanna look at like, on your taxes, what does that look like right now? What does your tax statement look like for 2024? Look at that number and go, what do I wanna see different from that number? That I met, and say you had a job, 9 to 5 job, and you earned, I'm just gonna throw out a number, $120,000 a year. I'm just saying, I know a lot of people make that now. I don't know that in a salary job, but a lot of people do. But I'm saying like $120,000 in your job, and all the taxes came out already, and so your what is adjusted gross income is what, maybe 65,000 after all that's said and done? Okay, well, what do you want that number to look like in your real estate business? You want it to be higher than that? So that's why it's important to kind of circle back around, think about those goals, what's realistic to you? What kind of activities you're doing, how many appointments you're going on, how many clients you see, how many are in your database that you're contacting, is gonna determine whether you're gonna get to 5, 10, 16, 30. That's where that number's gonna come from. It doesn't just come from thin air. It actually comes from that type of activity. So, a good practice, like I say, you'll be doing that in business planning. To get paid at closing, how many of you have gone through a closing and you've gone on command and you've done your stuff on command to close? Okay, so you have your computers with you? Open up your computer. Now, you're not gonna be able to get past a certain point, but I can at least show you where you go through with this. So when you go on command, you'll see this menu right here. You go to where the 2 hands are shaking. That's your opportunities. You create an opportunity for your client. Now, this is where you put your pipeline in. This is where, say you meet Joe Smart, and Joe Smart says, I want to buy a house, but I'm not ready to buy it until February. Get Joe Smart's information, put him in your opportunities. Put him as a buyer who you're going to nurture, and he's going to be right in front of you. If he has a specific neighborhood, you can put that in there as well. So once you have them in opportunities, then when you go to put them in a contract, you have to go, there's a couple steps you take. But you'll go to there's a tab up on the top right. It's not a good example. This shows you more of your goal setting in your database help. But there's a tab on the right, and once you open up opportunities, it says create opportunity. Y'all see that?
Yes.
You'll create an opportunity. So when you click on that, then it's going to let you put in all the important information. Now, you can do that as a listing client, or you can do that as a buyer, or you can do it as a renter lease. But once you put it in command and you put it in opportunities, then you go ahead and set up the address that they're buying or they're selling. You get all that set up, and then it's going to stop you. And in order for you to go forward and get all the compliance information in there, it's going to force you to create another profile for them. So let's see if I can find someone who has not done anything yet. Okay, so I have this client, Sean. Okay, so I've created his profile. You can see right here. Now, course it changes. So if I want to go in here to offers and commissions, so if I want to get them set up in my command, create an opportunity, it steps you through all this stuff to create an opportunity. You don't even have to have an address for them yet. But you put their information, you want to tag them with certain tags. You want to put that they're a buyer, you want to put the budget they have, say, they'll ask you what their amount is. You can put 300,000 if you're not sure, put a number that you think might be it, put your commission in there. It will start to generate all that information, and that can all be changed once you get them actually in there. So now I've got this client who's a buyer, and I've set him up in my opportunities. So now I'm gonna go under offers and commission. So it says this, it says add new offer. So that it won't let me do anything because I haven't created an offer. Okay, so because we don't have an offer yet, so you don't do this until you have a contract. But if I go into add new offer, then it's gonna ask me to actually put the information about the offer in there. And once I do that, then it's gonna set it up where I can start putting all the information in I need to put in for compliance. Now you have to put if it's a buyer, you have to put the buyer broker agreement in there. You have to put the MLS number. It's gonna step you through all this. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go to one that's already been done. Okay, so now, offers and commissions, so. Offers and commissions will show you a breakdown of what your commission will look like after they've taken all the fees out. And it'll give you all that information, but documents is the other tab that, and I'll come around and show you, and you'll see. It says consultation under contract and close. See that? So you see right here. This right here. This is what you'll see when you go under documents. So when you click on the first one, you'll see it looks like this. Consultation under contract close. This right here. So when you see that, then you'll want to go under consultation. And it will have a list of all the things that you have to put in. And it'll say required. So like buyer agent agreement is required. You want to download that on here. So it'll give you an opportunity to download it or upload it. There's someone that they fill out when they sign a contract. That's the summary. The Atlantic Coast Mortgage Disclosure, that's required. The Vesta one is required. So it'll just take you through and you just make sure you download all those things that are completed. And once you finish all that, you have to submit it and it gets approved. So you guys will be coached through this when you have a contract, but don't wait until closing day. Don't wait till the day after. Do it ahead of time.
So
Get it all
someone
done.
is the actual contract.
Okay, so someone is the summary of rights. So that's like your residential property disclosure, but it's the additional piece that gives them the summary of rights. So there's all these things, and you'll have a buyer checklist, a listing checklist that'll have you make sure you get all those done. But all of that has to be submitted into command and it has to be approved. And then you'll get paid. And you want to make sure you do it ahead of time because on the day of closing, it's all should be there. So then when they get the check 2 days later and they put it into MCA, which is Cleveland and that approved, they'll go into your command and they'll see that everything's ready to be paid. It will delay everything if you don't have this up to date. And you want to submit it ahead of time because you might not be in compliance. They may catch something that you have written in there that's not right, and they'll send back a rejection that you have to correct. So I'm just saying, this is a very important part of your business. So there are classes, there's videos online on how to be paid. There's a class here on how to get paid. It takes you through these steps. But get to know in command, get to know opportunities. Start filling your pipeline. Start putting your strong leads in that pipeline. So you got them right in front of you. Okay. Super important. Any ahas? Anything anybody wants to share? Anything that you didn't know that you now know, or something you're gonna do differently?
Be able to actually see a tangible number for your net income goal and connect it all together with the big why. Kind of the value proposition on how I'm gonna get there.
Yep, there you go. I like that.
Before I was just like, get one, and now it's like, no, I need to dream bigger. A bigger why.
And sometimes unlimiting beliefs, remember that unlimiting beliefs, you want to kind of put that out there as a big part of this business. Anybody else feel a little overwhelmed by all of it, or are you kind of like, I gotta get to work?
Where I'm at. I need to get to work.
Get to work. Yeah, you're here. Big, big step in the right direction. You're all here. So that you want to give yourself a big pat on the back for that. Anybody else? Do you have any insights?
I have a question.
Yes.
So everything has to be in transaction desk and command.
Transaction desk keeps track of your transaction and all your forms. That's how you're gonna send forms. And I've had agents, new agents use NAR or RAR with forms. Use transaction desk and use the wizard. If you're not sure how to do that, let me know. I can help you with that. But using the wizard, it populates the information in there for you. Having transaction desk, you have your kind of like your catalog of people, and you can go back and look, and it's a good place to pull from for compliance.
Mhm.
And you can download that into your computer and then put it in the compliance. It just makes it easier. It's like a file system. And then command, you definitely have to use command to be paid. You can use a different form of database if you want, but it's up to you. I know some people use just a general spreadsheet for their database. But command does have some tools that are helpful with your database. All right, in your daily success system, has anybody been using this daily success system?
I'm trying to use the social media.
I'm gonna get that trying,
This is hard. It's hard. 10 conversations a day. Believe it or not, I don't think about tracking conversations, but I sometimes will look back and go, how many people did I talk to today about real estate? 10 is hard. I don't know that I've hit that very often, but 10 contacts added. It's not happening for me. Anybody else? No, it's a hard goal to do, but it's a good one to think about. And that may mean you're gonna add 20 at the end of the week, or whatever you can do. Handwritten notes. I don't have everyone's address, so I'm really bad about that, and I have terrible handwriting. So I tend to be adverse to that, but I know it's really important because I like getting a handwritten note in the mail. I don't know about y'all, but I'm gonna try to start doing that for my clients on a quarterly basis. Send them a handwritten note. I usually send them something at Thanksgiving.
Just the endpoint.
I have a big giant box.
So
of
she
cards.
brings to every meeting, she always has a little box of cards.
I just bought a box of generic blank cards that have just this, it was cheap on Amazon. There's like just random artwork on there. And I just send it out as, hope you're doing well, or use it sometimes.
I use my blank card, to reach out to people, to let them know that I'm now a new realtor, and to reach out to me. So that was the source that I used, to get my contacts.
Okay. Is it working?
It's working, they responded, but then I don't know, lead.
That's
But
okay.
they responded.
It'll happen. Enrichments, not sure what that means, but I don't know, I'm not sure what that means, but appointments, getting appointments, you really need to get at least 1 to 2 a week to reach those goals. It's not always easy to get an appointment, but if you can. And an appointment is not just hanging out with your girlfriend and not talking real estate. That's not an appointment. Agreements, getting those agreements, buyer broker agreements made. Listing agreements, be aware of the rules of the listing agreement. That if you're going to sign a listing agreement, you have a time frame that you have to get it in the MLS. So there's this other form called opt out, which gives you a little grace time. And you'll want to fill that out to allow you a certain, you're waiting for photos or waiting for staging, or put them in coming soon. You can put a person in coming soon and fill out some of the MLS, but not all of it. And you don't have to have your photos. But coming soon, you can do, I think they've upped it to 30 days. Anybody know? 45 days? It was only 21 days.
Yeah, it was, they just changed it.
45?
45 days.
So coming soon. So if you put a property in coming soon, you can put a sign out front with a coming soon on the sign. I highly recommend that. You can put it in the MLS. You can put 1 or 2 photos. I always try to put 2 photos of the outside of the house so people can at least see what the outside of the house is. It gives you a chance to get your ducks in a row with your seller. You can always put it on coming soon before the deadline of coming soon. But remember, the minute you change it from coming soon to active, you cannot reverse it. You have to have permission from the broker. They have to do it. It's a big thing in the duty. So don't put it in active. Don't take it out of coming soon until you know for sure you're ready to go active. You cannot show a house in showing, you cannot book a showing when it's in coming soon. Y'all know that, right? The minute you show the house, it has to go active and you have to open it to everyone. Now, if it's off market, if it's not in the MLS and it's off market, you can show the house, but it's off market. Have you set up your off market showings?
No,
Yeah.
that's what I'm here for.
Okay. Yeah, so importance of accountability. How many of you have an accountability system that you have set up? What's your accountability system now? Your husband? He keeps you on that. My husband does that too sometimes. And sometimes I just turn to him and say, you have no idea what I'm dealing with. He's not a very good accountability partner because I get mad at him too easily. Keep your mindset focused and positive. It's always helpful to have someone in your world that reminds you of why you're doing this. And it's in the business. It's helpful to have an accountability partner in the business. A coach, friend, a mentor, somebody who can kind of help you keep on track. It's always good to have somebody you can come in here and practice role play. Remind you of your big why. So say, won't pick on Mel anymore. I've been like, she's been front of the class. So say, James, you told me your big why. And you're just moping around here and you're like, I don't have any business, man. I'm just like, I hate this. What am I doing? If I was your accountability partner, I'd be like, so James, why is it you're doing real estate again? What's your big reason? Oh yeah, I remember you told me it was about your grandparents and your
mother and my daughter.
I mean, your mother and your daughter and your grandkid, your family.
Right.
So is that still important to you?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry. It's just yeah.
That's okay. It's still important to you. So kind of like, and do it, and just be mindful when you're working with your accountability partner that there should be no judgment in that. It should be all to support. Everything about it should be supportive. Just a big, quick reminder of, why you're doing this and what's going to keep you charged. Challenges like make that person a little uncomfortable. Like James, so you say you want your family to be, to have a better life. You want to help
Yes.
them.
Correct.
So how many appointments do you have right now?
That's painful to say.
Okay.
But, none at the moment.
Okay. So what do you think is going to be one thing you can do this week that can change that?
Get one, at least make phone calls.
So what's one thing you're going to do? What do you
I'll make a call this afternoon.
You make a call this afternoon?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. I'll tell you what, James,
Yes,
let me know after you make that phone call, how that phone call goes.
I will.
Okay, that's an easy accountability exchange right there.
Good, yeah, I'll do it.
And then be accountable is one of your 6 personal perspectives. Those 6 personal perspectives are super, super important. Accountability partner can be someone, productivity coach like myself, mentor, KW Maps coach. You won't be at that level yet. Don't do that. That's paid. Don't do that yet. Tools 411. That 411, you're filling out that 411 monthly. Patrice really pushes that 411. You can send it to both of us. If you put that on paper of what you want to do, believe it or not, it really does make you think, okay, I said I was gonna do this and it's written down, so I need to make this an important priority. Time blocking. Time blocking, I find personally very, very difficult to do because I tend to be so spontaneous. And it forces me to have a little more organization in my life. But it is helpful. I have things on my phone. These alerts come up every day and I just go, "Boop," ignore it. It's like lead gen, MLS time, personal, and I'm like, "Boop," and then, but it's in front of me and I'm like, oh my God, my phone is so annoying. But it definitely reminds me every day, like, get on that MLS and start doing your work. I'm being very honest and y'all feel free to be honest too. And then that one thing really, really helps to kind of hone in on one thing.
What's your favorite book out of all these books? Like, what is like
I personally have found the Shift book to be the most helpful right now for my business. I read it whenever we were going through a shift 2 times, it was two shifts ago. It was, for 2023. And I took it with me to Florida and sat out by the pool and read that book because I was feeling like, what the heck am I doing? And it really was a reminder of how you have to really double down. The Shift book was good. This one, I'm like, I have a love-hate with this. I mean, it's a great book. It definitely has systems.
And it's just like, I'm not quite a millionaire yet.
It's got systems in place that are helpful. The systems are good. I know my weaknesses in my systems, so I'm addressing those right now. The One Thing is a good book. That overall is a good book, a reminder in life of like how to stay focused on what's important and keeping everything kind of in check to that one thing. It can be so overwhelming. This business can be so overwhelming. You've gotten 8 weeks of a lot of information on how to do this business. You really want to sit down and just kind of take one thing out of every one of those classes. So what did I get from this class? It's really important. That helped me a tremendous amount. When those negotiation classes happened and that MLS class happened, I was overwhelmed first time around. I was like, whoa, this is way too much. But I went back and I was like, okay, this one thing out of negotiation that I learned was to go in and know that you have leverage. Use your leverage. Use leverage wherever you can find it. Get to the win and find the solution. Don't sit in the problem, sit in the solution. Those were my big one things out of negotiations.
You know, if you go to Keller Inc.,
Uh-huh.
where you can buy most of your, books and things like that. They give you a quiz that you can take as far as what books to read. And I think right now it's like the MREA book and the Rookie Real Estate. And you answer the quiz, and based on your responses, we tell you what book you should read for where you are at this moment. Because all of these books that have been suggested are applicable. But again, like the funnel that I mentioned early on, it becomes a lot and overwhelming. Got to read each book and pull out what's important.
Yeah.
You can apply it. So,
It's true.
yeah.
Read them cover to cover.
But Keller Inc. tells you what's probably. It doesn't go to all the books. It's really the 2 that they talk about. That was the MREA, and the Rookie Real Estate.
The Rookie Real Estate Agent book is new, but it isn't about being a rookie. It's really breaks it down a little more in a realistic place.
Correct.
I'm reading it right now, and it's way more applicable for this, in my opinion. It's more relevant too to this was written a long time ago. It's a little
Find
more relevant.
something in it the second, third time that you didn't the first.
Right.
Do you learn something new every time you go and look at the book?
Yes. And I tend to, I spent a lot of time in the beginning of the book. I'm now really starting to go toward the back of the book and like really pull out some stuff out of the back of the book. Cause that's where I tend to like go, oh, I didn't even know this.
Like the Bible of Jimmy Shaw, like they
Yeah.
pull the books out.
Right.
Like, at page 36 this morning.
So they talk about the 3 books to read. The one thing, I do like the one thing a lot. That's really a little more good life advice. And it helped me a lot with staying focused. Learn more about your market. We know how important that is, but it is important to do that daily. You get on that MLS every morning and go into those numbers. You're gonna see, when you start to see prices are dropping significantly in the market. We had something like 300 price drops a few weeks ago. The market is flattening out in Richmond. It needs to flatten out. Don't let that be a negative thing. It really does need to level out because it has been chasing its tail. And it's just too much. We don't want to be Northern Virginia market. We want to be Richmond market where people who still feel like they can afford a house here. Preview homes. I'm so glad I stopped by those Eagle homes the other day. It was a reminder of like, oh, wow, there's some really cool new construction out there. I haven't focused on it. And I've already seen those houses 2 years ago on a field trip with PC. But I wanted to stop by and see, and the price has changed. How many days on market? Really understand what that number means. Because you may have somebody say, well, that's been on the market 20 days. Well, the average amount of time on the market is maybe 30 days. So 20 days isn't even getting close to being a price drop. Codes. I think, I'm not sure what that means. Like codes, do you know what that means?
No, what was that?
Like, tomorrow, maybe,
Well,
any policy updates.
Maybe.
Building codes.
I don't know if it's building codes or if it's I know that you've got the numbers of neighborhoods, like you want to make sure you know 22 is Henrico, 34 Glen Allen. Like get to know those numbers is helpful. Because I use the map piece on the MLS a lot to really have an idea of where houses are located. I also use when I pull it up, I look at where it's located on the map, because you'll have people who say, I don't want to be anywhere close to a busy street. Or I don't want to be on any kind of water, or, so those are helpful tools. Attend events. Anybody going to family reunion this year? No, it's expensive. It is a great event. If you can ever, like, once you get into business, to designate one of your closings to fund family reunion or mega camp. I haven't been to mega camp, but family reunion was really good. It's a real, like, gets you going. It's like nothing else. And to be in a room with 25,000 agents from all over the world is pretty cool. Mindset and accountability. Make sure you check back on your 6 personal perspectives. Bold, if you've never heard of Bold, Bold is a course you can take that comes around every once in a while. We had it here in Richmond last year. It is a jump starter of your business. Bold will get you in a classroom it's like a weekly class for so many weeks. And it really pushes your business forward. It's all about lead gen, all about how to get your business moving forward. It's run by a MAPS coach who's top of the game. Quantum Leap's another class you can take. Command, just get to know Command. Get online and learn about Command. Business Planning Clinic is on Wednesday. Please come. Do not miss it, 9 to 2. Make the time for it. Drop your lead gen for that day and come to that. Got to do it. Career visioning, if you ever see a class that says career visioning, that's about hires. You're not there yet. Don't worry about that type of class yet. But that will help you understand what kind of hire to do. That's also KW Talent. that's when you're ready to make a hire. You want to learn what type of hire you need first. What's most important to your business. Sales skills. There's lots of videos online to learn more about your skills on how to win, how to negotiate, how to write a contract, creating the best experience you can. DEI, yes, we still talk about diversity, equity, inclusion in Keller Williams because it's really important in real estate. Fair housing laws have been in place for a very, very long time. We lose our license if we don't follow it. So these are great resources. I've never taken the unconscious bias class, but I hear that is really incredible. I've looked at a book that I haven't read the whole thing, and then The Color of Real Estate, that's also something you can do in class. But there's a great leader right now in Keller Williams who is kind of the DEI ambassador. And she has some TED Talks. And I strongly advise you to look at some of that. Because one takeaway I took from her TED Talk that I saw at one of these conventions was diversity is not selective, y'all. Every person in this room carries some level of diversity from the other person. We're all diverse.
What's her name?
Can't remember. I knew you'd ask me that. I'll look it up and I'll get it to you.
What'd you say?
Wait, I'll go back.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I just can't remember her name.
Is The Color of Real Estate, is it a book? What is that?
These are all, I believe you can get them online on YouTube. But the unconscious bias, I believe, is a book. Color of Real Estate might be a class.
Two of those courses are available, because you gotta do an ethics class with NAR or RAR.
Yeah.
Are two of your choices for your classes for your ethics that you do every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's up there.
they're classes, but the unconscious bias, there's a book that also you can get. It's so important to just always understand diversity is just something you want to remember is so important in this business to know that we're all different. Every client's different. Every person's different, no matter what. It's not just about one level of diversity. So we have to really pull our heads out of that game, put our heads in the fact that every person's different and every person deserves equitable treatment. And that, to me, that statement is inclusion as well. So we all have an unconscious bias. I believe it's all implanted in us as humans. And we have to fight really hard to fight that. And that course alone really helps you understand just ways to overcome some of that we tend to have as humans. So.
Is it Julia Lachey?
Hmm?
Julie Lachey?
Yes, what's her name?
Julie Lachey.
Julie Lachey, thank you. Julie Lachey.
Google.
She is,
I did, but.
she's a top agent with
really
Keller
like-
Williams, and she is, she does these courses, she does these classes. Really great, amazing, thank you. I knew it had some kind of fun, like French sounding name,
Thought
Lachey.
I had mentioned her before, so that's why I had it.
Yeah,
in my
she's
search.
great.
Thank you.
And Keller Williams still does have that in place, which is good to know that we have those resources. All right, if you guys want to review me, I'm not on there, you'll have to add me, but I can write out my name and,
Always know how to have these spellings.
I know, nobody can spell my name, so I'm gonna write it on here. This will help me because I will be going forward with the training, the trainer. Trying to get certified. Talk about French, there's a French there for you.
Oh, there's no X
In the
on it. There's no
nose.
X on here.
No, we are not Cajun.
Oh,
Grew up in Arkansas, so it was always Thibodeau with the X. I grew up in, I love Arkansas.
I was gonna say Paragon.
Oh, Paragould, you grew up in Paragould?
No,
This is.
I lived, my late 20s, I worked with, First Paragon Television,
Okay,
Northwest Arkansas. I like to work with Walmart.
Paragould's in the middle of nowhere.
I know.
I love this too. Pine Bluff, y'all, I grew up on Bluff. They call it Crime Bluff, to give you an idea of what this hotel is like.
Well, that's fun.
No, they do call it Crime Bluff. So when I was living there, it wasn't pretty slow down. I was fine. I was fine. I'm happy with my childhood there, but they were ranked the worst place to live in the United States by some magazine. I don't know what it was. And so the people of Pine Bluff were so upset by that, they said, oh, please come back. We're gonna show you a different side of this town. They came back and they wrote the article again and reaffirmed that, yes, definitely, this is the worst place. But yep, I'm from there. But it's about 45 minutes south of Little Rock, so. Yeah. All right. So KW Cares, are we all familiar with KW Cares? Anytime they have a campaign to raise money, that money does go toward these people that need it. I watch KW Cares in action here, y'all, and when the flood happened in Nashville, I've never seen so much stuff get collected and donated in such a short amount of time. And people were giving through KW Cares and brought in, we had a 18-wheeler full of water, diapers, supplies, canned foods. Between Northern Virginia and our office, we filled an 18-wheeler in a day. I mean, it was like everyone came to the table and brought stuff. And it really made a difference. And that whole event, when we have these big catastrophes like that, KW Cares jumps in and helps pay for it, but we have to like refeed the monster because it's useless. So I highly recommend that. Okay, our mission. Who wants to read the mission? Loud or proud?
Mission to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacy worth leaving.
There you go. So we're working on building a career worth having, right? Business is worth owning, so you gotta treat your business like a business. Lives worth living. We want quality of life, y'all. As I get older, I can tell you, I'm all about finding as much quality in my life as I can because it's a little scary. Life is not forever, you know? Experience is worth giving. I mean, really creating the best experience for your client is really gonna bring the greatest value. And then legacy is worth living. You wanna leave something for your family, right? That legacy could be money, that legacy could be your character, that legacy could be kind of just putting a stamp on this world in some significant way. Get real about your situation and get right about what you're doing. Bring a greater sense of clarity, priority, and focus to your work. Now that right there is what you got to do. It's just not going to come to you easily. It's going to require this. And then designing your future, you want to create your value proposition. You want to have your big why. You want to have your profit goal, your number of transactions, your smart database. You want to have your database set up and start working on getting it as filled with all the right information as you can. Smart money business, accountability. You really have to have accountability. Some of you think you can do this without it. You got to have it. You're going to find yourself really sometimes in a bad place and you're like, I don't even know what to do, and you don't have anybody there to push you forward. And then always be learning, always come to these classes. These classes will make a huge difference. Build it into your time block so it's not cutting into your lead gen. And then I'm going to ask a couple questions. Has your thinking changed since you've started? What, you want to tell me more?
My mindset totally has changed from the very beginning.
In what way?
Just even being overwhelmed, and I've had a couple of times where I was like, you know what? I'm not going back to Poland.
You know what?
I didn't, it was times I wanted to quit,
Okay.
but I have to change my mindset and think a little more clearly and know that I need to be patient. And just thinking different and not so negative and doing the work.
See, now I don't see that in you at all. I only see a smiling face, a very positive person, but I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah, but people go home.
I mean, and that's a very, it's
They
a
go
very
home.
real feeling, and I think, like I said earlier, this is a self-employed, self-motivated business. You gotta find it, you gotta dig deep for it.
Who else is on?
Who's gonna hype Teresa, we're wrapping up?
Perfect timing.
Who's gonna take action, what action are you gonna take to move this business forward? Anybody wanna share?
Well, one of my goals for today is to contact, developers, for new construction.
Okay,
So that I can build a rapport with them and gain some trust with them and become, collaborators with them, so I can start having events for my clients. Well, not
Okay.
just for my clients, but for potential. clients.
what kind of event do you wanna have?
Well, I actually do wanna host, nah, I gotta hold this. But I do wanna I wanna host, like a home buyer seminar, so I'm just letting, clients know process of what it takes to build a home. The foundation, from the foundation all the way to you finish, building, putting the walls up, and I want, a lender with me so they can answer any questions, of them. So I wanna just build my team. And so today is my construction day, so that's, putting everybody together.
Okay,
Um,
so you will do that,
yeah, I'm gonna do that.
okay. Okay, just check.
So we don't try here. okay?
Right, y'all know.
Patrice got me.
And that was on my head, so I didn't think about it.
Does anybody know what tools or systems or models you're gonna use now to help build your business?
To dive back into.
Yeah.
Definitely doing what Command wants us to do, but actually putting it in the system. Is a tool that I'm paying for, we have at our utilization, so.
Thank you. It is designed to help you do all the things. And it is silly because it is a toolbox that we're giving you. You guys are paying for it. And it would be silly to like try to, hammer something into the wall and not use the tools you're using the bottom of your shoe, right? So
Tried that multiple.
it was developed by a group of agents that helped KW make it do everything that it does. Yes, use it. You know, I can get a report that'll tell me the last time you were in it. That'll tell me how many contacts you have in it. That'll tell me if you have any smart plans set up. So we will be diving into Command more now that Ignite's over and getting you going, but you'll hear some of it in Business Planning Clinic, but thank you for saying that.
All right, y'all, that was a fun class, I hope you enjoyed it. We talked about making some money, some goals, setting some
Yeah.
goals, and coming to business planning on Wednesday.
Yeah, and I had asked you guys at the beginning of the month, I said, how cool would it be if everyone in PC got a client between now and the end of the year and got a deal? And I believe I have the list of those of you who said, I'm in. So we've got, this is the last week of the month. Make it count. Buckle down, buckle up, whatever. But you guys can all do it, okay? Now we're gonna do some awards and then I'll do the drawings for the book. Just call the damn lead. And I saw there were people online.
There were, but I
We-
actually took them off the screen. So they
Yeah.
went away.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
because Matt was like, we are not supposed to have people online.
Well, yeah, well, it was a habit.
Okay.
I hit that and then I was like,
Um,
bye.
Yeah, so we'll do
See ya.
that, but first, and then we've got some other books. We're gonna do drawings for too, so we'll draw for that. And we're gonna draw for the rookie real estate agent book.
I was telling them about that book, that's very
Yes,
helpful.
and then the MREA. So if you haven't had that yet, okay. All right, so first, we're gonna do some certificates. So what? What? Why are you laughing?
The ultimate coach of coaches.
Hey, you
All
might
right,
be
look.
rewarded for your work,
That's
right?
right, that's right. That's right. So we have 3 people that had perfect attendance for Ignite. So when your name's called, come on up. Stephanie Ford. Woo-hoo, congratulations. You're welcome. Good job showing up for your business. Arnita, come on down. Yep, I'm gonna make you get up and walk this little walk. So you can, there you go. Congrats. You're welcome. And Melissa. Well, girl, here you go. Congrats. You're welcome. And now we also have certificates for everyone that attended the majority of class. So we do give some grace. You can miss like 2-ish. So James Jones, come on down. I'll continue to connect. There you go, baby. No, you can't leave yet. What if you win one of the books? James Grisham, come on down. Hey, James. There you go. Congrats. Brian. There you go. Arnita. I'll make you get up to this other. Stephanie. Oh, here. And Mel. There you go. Yeah. That's right.
Thank you.
Good job, everybody. Now listen. The videos are gonna be out there. If you missed one, or if there was one that like really fired you up, and if you wanna go back and watch videos, you can. So they'll be out on YouTube. Keep learning. If you get into MLS and you remember something from one of CES classes, CMAs, always just go out there and sharpen the saw, right? Just always keep refining what you need to refine. I went on a listing appointment 2 weeks ago, and I had already talked to the lady, I think like in April. And then she was going through a divorce, so then they weren't ready. She didn't know what was going on. I didn't hear from her. And I kept just, every so often following up, said, I'm not here to pressure you. Just let you know I haven't forgotten about you and I'm here when you need. So she reached out and said, okay, we have the separation agreement. I want to talk to you about selling my house. So I went out there 2 weeks ago, and even though we had already done this before, I gave her the same full-on packet listing agreement. I had a copy of the listing agreement and all the stuff, and we talked. I said, I'm gonna leave this packet for you to look through about what we're gonna do, but I'm here to make this easier. I'll come back out, I'll walk through the house and tell you what you need to do. But anyway, so she said, well, I'm meeting with another agent October 16th or whatever. And I said, okay, that's great. It's good for you to get some other, input. And I said, all I ask is that after you meet with the other agent, if there's something that they touched on that I didn't, if you'll just give me the chance to talk to you about that as well, because there's so much we could discuss. I kept following up with her. And she called me back and said, can you come out to the house? I want to go with you. And she said, you were organized. You had the packet for me to read through. The other agent just came to my house and just talked to me and told me how long she's been in the business and didn't have anything for me. And she said, just walk through my house and told me everything that was wrong with it. So like, just know, like, and this packet, like I have refined over time. So just don't be afraid to get out there and start with what you have. Just get out there. Don't wait for perfection, because it will never be perfect. Mine's still not perfect. Like I could make changes to it, but the point is when you are prepared and organized, it shows. Because she said, well, how long have you been in the business? And I told her, and she said, oh, well, you look younger, so I thought you were newer. She's been in the business so long, she kept telling me how long she's been in the business. So I'm telling you that to tell you, people don't care how long you've been in the business until they know that you care. Okay? So just get out there and do. Okay? Thank you guys for showing up for Ignite. Yeah. If you have not written thank you notes, I just did them this weekend for everyone that taught. I'm not saying you have to do them all, but please pick a handful. These people took time out of their, they're all sticking. Took time out of their business to teach you guys.
stickies.
I know, yeah, I put them in the bowl, so okay, so this is for, don't look, because you can see some of the names. This is for the Call the Damn League. And you must, and we're gonna say must be present to win. I just made that rule. You gotta show up, pay to play.
Okay.
Who we got?
Arnita Smith.
Thank you. Okay, all right.
That's a pretty good credit book title. I can't believe it is a book. We're just call.
Yeah.
You would be
Oh,
surprised
oh.
how many people don't call the damn
Call
league.
families,
Yeah.
that's.
Bottom line,
It's a
yeah.
sentence, it's a three by shot, right?
Apparently it's a book and it's supposed to be a pretty good one because I heard it at a convention and I bought it and I need to read it too.
To read it, not as.
Yeah.
All right, this one is easy because it's on the outside. James Jones. Yeah.
Which one do you want?
Okay.
That was some of my quiz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you've been winning a lot of stuff lately.
Right.
I'm surprised.
I know. I
Came
get
up
that
in your
seat.
quiz.
I'm gonna go sit that seat next time.
What quiz? It came up in your quiz.
Coloring,
Oh, okay.
so there was a suggestion to do a coloring.
Yeah.
James Shaw wanted one.
Oh, okay.
They had a quiz, and when I went there, I had a quiz, and I took the quiz for me to read.
Yeah. We do have that book here if you guys want to buy it. And we're getting ready to do another order and we get like group rate. And so if you want, we're gonna get some more, or you can just order it.
That MREA book, is that a new edition or something, has it been?
No, no.
All right, and the winner of our
The original.
MREA,
This is the original. They have redone it. We're waiting for it to come out.
Mel Hill.
Oh! So you do have this one?
Yeah, but.
If you want to see,